I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
He just killed a little fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing.
Lobito!
Got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Well, hold on a second, right? Hey, welcome everybody to Happy the Boxing Podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North is your good friend, Mr. BDA. And I sure am glad that everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. In this episode, we got a good one for you. We're back after a little bit of procrastination here, but we are indeed back, and there's a lot to talk about, a lot of rumors. We had some fights yesterday, so that should be good. What else? Yeah, so that's what we're going to be talking about there. We're going to be talking about some of the rumors that have been going on, the fights that took place last night. We're going to be taking phone calls near the end of the hour. Hopefully it's a short show, but we got a lot going on, so we're going to have to do it fast-paced, high-octane, high-voltage. Before we get down to the fun, let's get the business out of the way, fellas. You know the drill. If you want to drop a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so with the Super Chat feature, although it's better to join the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. The most important thing, however, is that you continue to like, subscribe, and you spread that BDA gospel, all right, fellas? Don't forget you can check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and Spreaker at your leisure. Let's give a big shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking about the initiated. I'm talking about the anointed. Do we have any anointed? Well, we've got Bucho in the house, Ghost123, Uriah Smith, Don Chile Relleno, LOI, 2 Matador, Alfredo Contreras, Ed Dog in the house, Pounce, Cerny Banders, that Gucci Berserk, Uncle Burnt Apostrophe. How many more people to come, I'm sure, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right. Let's get down to business here. With the big news, well, Jimmy, are you there? I think we got the Jimmy Marino here joining us. Before we get down to the whole... All right, shout out to Jimmy. Before we get down to the whole Canelo drama, it's Canelo-Mania, as I call it. Everybody, he's not even fighting yet, hasn't even made an announcement, and everybody's talking about him. Let's talk briefly about last night's fights, or last morning's fights as well, because Edgar Berlanga fought on the zone against a 35-year-old undefeated fighter, Padraig McCrory. Hadn't really done much in his career, if anything at all, and it even seemed to me like Berlanga struggled a little bit, but he finally got himself a knockout, and he was ecstatic about it to the point where he was calling out Canelo. Did you watch the fight, Jimmy?
Yes, I did.
What'd you make of good old Berlanga?
Well, he seemed more confident. He seemed more willing to throw his punches, but it's about level of competition. I'll tell you right now, if he got his wish, I'll cut right to the fucking chase. I won't bury the lead. Canelo would take that clown's head off.
Oh.
I mean, he's not even in the same league. He is what it is. Listen, Bob Arum, say what you want about him. That dude knows what he has when he has it. And there's a reason they cut that fool loose. You know, he made his bones off of feasting on no-hopers, knocking everybody out. I mean, the kid himself called himself the greatest puncher in super middle or middleweight history or whatever it was at the time. So, you know, he had pretty lofty views of himself. But no, it's Berlanga. It is what it is. He's a domestic level talent at best, and he'll be found out the minute he steps up. I mean, for Christ's sake, he's already almost been found out about against Midland fighters. So, yeah, I'm just not big on him, never have been, and that, my opinion, probably will never change. What did you think?
He reminds, well, first of all, the guy that he was fighting, he kept fighting in that sort of pseudo Philly shell style with his hand down, his left hand down. He couldn't get away from right hands. So at some point, he got hit with a flush straight right. To his credit, tough Irish prick took it. But at some point, you go, okay, you're getting hit with that shot. You know Berlanga can crack. How about you put that hand up? And he never did. And that, to me, is proof that his IQ, or whatever you want to call it, his ring intelligence wasn't there. So what am I, am I supposed to be impressed by this? Berlanga, after the fight, he's crying like he just, like he was just he beat somebody for a world title or something. And I'm thinking, boy, oh boy, this dude, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with him, really. Like you said, that it's not looking good for him. He's an exciting guy, though, because you never know when he's going to land a punch. But even then, he doesn't deliver, because I still haven't forgotten that some of his previous fights, like against Rolls Royce, that was a boring performance. Against Angulo, a boring performance. Against the other Irish guy he fought before this last fight, a guy that Andrade of all people took out. And
in the first round.
Right? Yeah. No, I don't think Andrade. But anyway, the point is, Berlanga couldn't take him out, and then he drops him in the last round. Still goes a distance, and somehow they try to salvage that as, wow, big finish from Berlanga. I concur with everything you said. He's exciting by virtue of the fact he can knock you out, but skills-wise, he's not what they were trying to make him out to be. The fact that Top Rank let him go, yeah, it's just not. I don't want to shit on the guy too much. Excuse my language on a Sunday, but it is what it is. This sport ain't for the faint of hearted. Not everybody can make it to the top, and I really doubt that guy will.
And when you react to a win like that in such a degree, in such emotional way, that was a lot of, it's a release of pressure. And that's the kind of pressure he was putting on himself for that type of opponent. You know what I mean? It's just, to call out Canelo. You know what that is? That's, hopefully I can get a payday. Well, that'd be such a mismatch, it wouldn't even be funny.
Yeah, everybody wants that, what Steve King called the Canelo stimulus package. It's big money. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about somebody that might be playing hardball right there. But all right, so that's Edgar Berlanga. Look, I wish the guy the best, but as always, if a guy's not training properly, not taking his training seriously or his career seriously, how much investment can I put in? How much can I invest in him, knowing that he's going to drop the ball at some point because of his lackadaisical approach? I think it's a fair question to ask. I tell you who's not lackadaisical there, Jimmy. Junto Nakatani, who should have really been the main event. But anyway, he moved up to his third weight class. Or is it his fourth? I'm losing track here, but he moved up to bantamweight.
I believe it's third.
Okay. He was at Superfly not that long ago. Now he moves up to bantamweight, takes on Alejandro Santiago, who had beaten, essentially retired Nonito Donaire his last fight. Rugged dude. Obviously, he's been at 118 longer than Nakatani. And Nakatani just went in there, made it look easy. And can I just say one thing real quick? He's such a long fighter. Controls the distance so well. He starts blinding people with that jab. And then comes the left hand. Straight as a laser. And he dropped the first time he landed, maybe the second or third, that he landed that straight left, boom, he dropped Santiago. And the finish was just sensational. And then the scary thing is, he can cause hell with those two weapons, and he doesn't even pull out the uppercut just quite yet. Then when he starts pulling out the uppercut, that's when things start getting ugly. So, Jimmy, this dude, he's going to be a bit of a problem for people at 118.
Yeah, I could see where him eventually going to 122, that would be quite the battle in Tokyo, right? Him against Inoue.
Oh.
But now, right? I mean, he would just have to, because Inoue already said he's going to campaign at 122 for the foreseeable future. So that would be some hell of a fight. That would be probably one of the biggest, if not biggest, all Japanese fight in many decades.
Perhaps a little bit too soon to be talking about that, but I tell you what, he's got some sort
That's
of
where eventually they want to go, I bet.
Yeah, man. But that's the thing, though. In the meantime, he's been fighting on ESPN, so obviously I think there's like this top rank Japanese connection there, like they do with Inoue. And another guy that's been fighting on top rank is Jason Maloney. Now, if people have forgotten, Nakatani viciously stopped Maloney's brother at 115. So I think that's a good little fight there to make to see how far Nakatani can go at 118, because Maloney's been in there with the best of the best. And maybe Nakatani, if he's thinking Inoue, maybe he's looking at Maloney thinking, hey, I want to surpass what Inoue did to him and show people that I'm just as good, if not better. So that right there is a potential fight to make. He's got options at 118. I mean, there's no...
Yeah, of course. Including Inoue's brother, right? At 118, who just, did he just win the title?
Yeah, he on that very card, he ended up beating Ancajas, which... Here's another guy. I mean, Inoue is another dude that can't really... He certainly didn't inherit his brother's genes when it comes to punching power, but he did score a knockout, a stoppage over Ancajas via body shot, and he was acting like he beat his brother or something. I mean, good for him, but at the same time, come on, man. You didn't exactly beat... And Ancajas, not for nothing, but he'd already looked a little bit done against Martinez. Is that the guy I'm talking about? Martinez, the Argentinian super flyweight. So. He's a monster. He's a dude that, again, another dude that's sort of allied with the PBC, and we haven't seen enough of him. Fernando Martinez. So, Ancajas sort of looked like he was out of it a little bit against Martinez in the rematch. So, I don't know how much he had left for Inoue, but yeah, man, Nakatani, man, oof, that dude. I'm looking at the. Oh, you know who else they could put him in there with? Emmanuel Rodriguez, the Puerto Rican guy, who's as sharp as
PBC's probably one of the better champions now.
Right. But I mean, he announced his retirement, and from what I understand, I think he rescinded that, so he might still be with us here in the boxing world. But yeah, Nakatani took on the number 3 guy in the division, according to Ring Magazine, in Alejandro Santiago, and just made it look easy. Wiped the floor with him. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here, because this dude, Nakatani, just doesn't seem to have that much resistance in this weight class. So we'll be keeping an eye on him.
And on top of that, you could actually even go 1 foot a little further. Say if he does fight Inoue's little brother and beats him, right, at 118 to unify the division, that would be like a motivation, for his brother, like revenge of, you beat my brother, add a little more spice to that fight. I think that could be a big fight in a couple of years. Definitely. If Inoue's still on top, who knows how long he's going to hang in there.
Definitely need to make it spicy. That's what we're looking for here in the boxing world. Jimmy, one thing, I didn't catch the Andy Cruz fight. Olympic gold medalist. He's the guy that beat Keyshawn Davis in the Olympic finals. Did you catch that fight?
No, I did not.
I heard that he didn't look good. People were saying that he was boring.
Oh, really?
I mean, that's what I heard. I don't know.
Huh. I'll have to check it. What was it on? Was it on DAZN?
Yeah, it was on the undercard of the Berlanga fight.
Okay, yeah, I just caught the Berlanga fight.
Yeah.
I'll definitely check
we'll
it
see
out
what
today,
happens.
though.
He's with DAZN, so I don't know if that Keyshawn Davis fight is ever going to happen. I did like Andy Cruz's main. I think his first opponent was Burgos, his first ever professional opponent, and so he's starting out very quickly, obviously, because he's one of those Cubans, not exactly in his early 20s, so they got to move him quickly. And I also enjoy the fact that he wasn't running around the ring. In fact, the guy he fought last night, I did catch a little bit of the fight though, but I didn't watch all of it. But the guy he was fighting was really on his ass style, the American slick style, running around, making it ugly. So at least Andy Cruz is a guy that's looking for the fight, to make the fight, but he's from the new Cuban school. They're not the runners anymore, but it's going to be interesting to see how aggressive he can be, because at the end of the day, that's what sells. All right, listen, let's move on to the real meat of the issue here, because we've been MIA for about 10 days now, I think more, maybe a little bit more. And we've been waiting to see what happens. Everyone, Jimmy, Canelo, 2 weeks ago, he was going to fight Charlo. The drunk crackhead Charlo. That's what people are calling him, by the way. I don't cast aspersions on people, but that's what people were saying. It was going to be Jermall Charlo. Then it was going to be Munguia. Then it was going to be Errol Spence, believe it or not. Now, supposedly Benavidez, the Benavidez team sent Canelo an offer, $50 million offer, which I don't know where they got that figure from. Then Eddie Reynoso on the same day says, hey, we never got that offer. All of a sudden, Samson Lukowicz, who tweeted about that, takes the tweet down because he tweeted that, oh yeah, we offered him 50 mil. He took the tweet down, which to me is a smoking gun. But Jimmy, can you break down what is going on here?
Okay, wait a minute. Are we talking about the same $50 million incident of last year, or is this a whole different one? Is this recently?
Different one, yeah. Volume 2.0.
Oh my God,
Version
Jesus!
2.0.
They did this once before. Well, Canelo was simultaneously in Cleveland, visiting with Heyman to sign this 3-fight deal. Benavidez Sr. and Lukowicz were running their mouth all over social media. Lukowicz put out that we had a $50 million offer. Even Benavidez himself, in an interview, was saying, yep, no, PBC's 100% behind me. The money's real. You know what I mean? I got the PBC and, all that behind me. And next thing you know, Lukowicz probably got the kibosh. They're like, hey, shut up. You're pissing Carol off. I'm here trying to, solidify this 3-fight deal. So he actually had to go on a podcast and recant and say that was totally from me. The PBC had nothing to do with it, meaning it was bullshit. It was smoke and mirrors. So he did it again. He did it again with the fucking $50 million. There is no $50 million. Listen, the PBC, let's be honest. A lot of people thought with the PBC, even recently went after, what's his name, Rick Glacier, saying, because Rick Glacier said right from the get-go, listen, this does not come with a budget. They'll take care of certain shoulder programming, weigh-ins, docu-series, because they already have the infrastructure for that. Mm-hmm. But they are not paying for the boxing events. And so sure enough, if you actually look at their press release or their mission statement, it says, and it's broken down, it's in 2 separate columns or paragraphs. It says Amazon Prime will be producing docu-series, weigh-ins, and what that will do is that will be a part of their boxing library or sports library going forward. They will own that content. But in a separate paragraph, it says we will exclusively stream, not produce, exclusively stream PBC boxing events. And then you have the Weasel himself in an interview saying, Espinoza, that, for years the network, meaning Showtime, produced, basically paid for, gave the budget to the PBC. And then he said with a kind of a disappointing sigh, the PBC will now be producing it's the boxing, meaning they have to come up with the money. So the reason why it took 2 months from the announcement of the deal in early September to just the other day when they said, yep, we've secured the $35 million, that's because it took 2 months to get the either right investors or one investor. I don't know the particulars. But clearly that's what was going on, because if the original signing came with this big budget, none of this would have been an issue. Nor would Espinoza, who was just on video again last week saying he's still looking for other outlets, other networks to do business with. Mm-hmm. So if Amazon was putting up cash in streaming services, they would not be looking for other places. So that's what it comes down to. So they secured the $35 million. I want to say maybe that's the people who secured the money, who were invested, probably maybe came with stipulations. If it's Charlo, no, you don't have the money. If it's Munguia, yes. If it's Benavidez, yes. Because that Mexican outlet that printed that, according to the PBC, they said, no, Charlo, we will have, it's willing if you want to fight Munguia, which didn't make sense because Munguia is not with the PBC. He's with Golden Boy. Golden Boy already in the past has said he's not giving his fighter over to Showtime. I don't see why things would change with it being under the Amazon umbrella. So, in my opinion, there's an investor. Who he's going to fight, I don't know. I think honestly, I think he's kind of trolling people. That's just kind of my opinion. I think he already knows who he's going to fight. I don't really think it's Charlo, because if you just look at the way he's been talking, looking, and even said he hasn't spoken to Al Heyman since last year, I don't think it's Charlo. I think it's all smoke and mirrors. We'll see. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting that you know people were somebody on. This is how Twitter, social media, how far it's gone now down the barrel. Somebody mentioned Charlo, and everybody goes with it. We got too many alarmists and reactionaries on Twitter. They hear one rumor and they go with it. It's Charlo, it's Charlo, it's Charlo. Then it's Munguia. I can't believe Canelo would fight Munguia. And meanwhile, he hasn't said anything. He's keeping his mouth shut during negotiations, against whomever they might be. He's keeping his mouth shut, and everybody's just reacting as if the fight's already set. Somebody pulls out a rumor and people make it out to be as if that's the fight. Meanwhile, Samson Lukowicz, if he's not busy being spit on at the WBA convention, he's giving out rumors about how these 50 million, 100 million, 100, 200 billion dollar offers he's making to these fighters. I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. They're offering Canelo 50 mil. Why? So they can generate a third of that to pay that to Benavidez during other fights. Like they can get him 10 mil, 15 mil. Because let me tell you, if Benavidez was making that against Caleb Plant and against Andrade, I'd keep on fighting those guys instead of worrying about Canelo. But so evidently there's there's a disconnect here. Number two, that to me that was a smoking gun. Because again, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know. But I do look at certain actions and they make me wonder what exactly is going on here. And for me, that was when Lukowicz supposedly said, yeah, we just sent Canelo a $50 million offer. And then as soon as Eddie Reynoso denies that or contests that on a show, the very same day, Lukowicz takes down that tweet. Why would he take down the tweet? Why would he stand on his ground and say, no, man, we did send it to you? Because like you said, they're trying to play hardball. I think they have been negotiating with Canelo. They probably know that Canelo doesn't have much else to go. Even the people that are insisting on the Benavidez fight, such as myself, know that there's not that much else for Canelo at 168. So Benavidez team knows that. They know, okay, he might go with Munguia. He could still make a lot of money, but he's still going to get some flack for choosing him. So so he needs us. We're the last man standing at 168, so we're going to play hardball, which wouldn't be the first time somebody's pulled that off against Canelo. I mean, you don't get many fights against Canelo. It's the biggest payday of your life, for these fighters. It's the biggest payday of their lives. So, of course, they're going to want to squeeze as much out as they want. Wouldn't that make sense?
Of course. And to your point about Lukowicz, was that money when it's time for Benavidez to fight, like good opponents, it just goes to prove one thing. Whatever money they offer Canelo Alvarez, it's his money. They're just taking a slice of the money that he brings. Mm-hmm. So he shows up to Vegas, I'm fighting insert fighter. All that money comes with Canelo. So basically, at the end of the day, they figure out how much this fight between gate, yada, 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 everything. They look at it. We'll keep this slice of the pie and we'll give you that. We'll just, you know what I mean? It's like basically saying I'm going to throw a party and I'm so popular, everybody's going to show up. But some other person rents the hall, takes care of the food, and then they split a percentage of your take. Yes, the party was made off your name, but I did all the work behind the scenes. That's basically the relationship with Canelo, wherever he goes. He's bringing the fucking party. It's his money. So when they offer him 50, 20, 30 million, whatever the amount is, it's Canelo's money, period. And they're just giving him a piece of his own money.
It's like one of the callers, I forgot your name, sorry, man, but when he hosts these fight parties, he's the one that brings it. He's the one that pays for the pay-per-view. He hosts, he brings in the ribs, la carne asada, the beer, the yesca, the Snow White. I mean, that's what I heard. I'm not saying that that's all he's doing, but, he brings everything to the table. And so, yeah, you're right. Now, Quentin Lassiter in the chat said, Canelo doesn't need Benavidez. I'm not saying that necessarily that he's scrambling to beg Benavidez to give him a fight, but what I'm saying is that that's probably what the Benavidez side is thinking in negotiations, that look, there's not that many other options Canelo does have options, is what I'm saying though. He does have options. He could fight Munguia and that would be a lot of money, but in the hearts of a lot of hardcore fans, the only fight that really makes sense at left at 168 is against Benavidez. Don't give me Morrell, please. Morrell looks good. I like watching him fight. He's aggressive, but what has he done? I mean, if Benavidez hadn't really been in the Canelo's, hadn't really earned the Canelo fight 2 years ago, before having beaten Plant and Andrade. What do you think Morale has the resume and the dossier to earn a fight? No. But that's the thing though, Jimmy. Looking at the Twitter thing, it seems like a lot, and some of the comments here as well, it seems like some people want Canelo to avoid Benavidez. So in other words, I haven't heard a lot of people say, yeah, man, I want to see Benavidez kick his ass, but they're just saying Canelo ain't going to fight him. Canelo's scared. In other words, it seems like, and I don't know, this might be my perception, I don't think there's some of these guys, I don't know if they really feel as if Benavidez can beat Canelo. I certainly give Benavidez a very good chance.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, brother, but it's all driven, Jim, anti-Canelo hate. That's all it is. You know what I mean? It's just they don't like Canelo. I mean, you even have professional fighters, ex-professional fighters, Chris Algieri, making a video. What are you doing? Why don't you fight Benavidez? It's right there, the money, blah, blah, blah. But, of course, he leaves out the fact it's Canelo's money, right? Leaves that out. But it's like, dude, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, how dare you? Who the fuck are you to question how Canelo rolls? You know, he's the face of boxing, the legit face of boxing. And he became that because of his resume and the fucking fights he's made. Am I always happy with who he fights? No. I'm not going to sit there. Yeah, of course, I want to see Benavidez fight next. Absolutely. But I'm not going to question what he does while not, you know, I mean, that's the thing, too. It's about, to step back to that guy, Algieri, and Dan Cabano, whatever this fucking name is, the supposed media journalist, boxing journalist, who said, like, where's that energy about who Benavidez is fighting? You're all worried about Canelo not fighting Benavidez, but where have you been for all of Benavidez's career when he's fought handpicked no-hoper after no-hoper? And I like Benavidez. I'm not, you know, whatever. Kid ain't afraid of anybody. He's just been matched softer than puppy shit for a reason, because they want to protect that. Oh, that's the PBC way. It's not just him. It's everybody under that umbrella. But it doesn't set these guys up. It doesn't get them ready for these big fights. And it's been proven time and time again. When these guys finally get up to either cross the street or get up and face somebody tough, they get fucking smoked. You know, I mean, what's the PBC record right now against going head-to-head against Top Rank? I think it's 4 wins and 21 losses.
I mean, it's like
when they cross the street, they get wrecked.
It's the same record that Bivol's wife against Bivol. It's not good in her favor. By the way, Super Sardonic says somebody let Algieri out of the cage. Yeah, somebody let him out of the cage, man. Yeah, but listen, I like Algieri, but that whole side of him with the Canobio and the Paulo Malignaggi too, it seems like they're trying to play the anti-Canelo angle to sort of seem, I don't know, maybe gain sympathy with the fans. Again, this 10-day or however long hiatus we had was good because it allowed us to assess the situation. Every 2-3 days, the narrative was changing. And that's the other thing, Jimmy. Benavidez hasn't yet petitioned to the WBC, has he? Or didn't he just do that recently, a couple of days ago? Like, hey, man, enforce my mandatory.
Yeah, I find that surprising because the narrative going forward by so many people where he was already the number one, he was his, you know, the WBC's, you know, mandated opponent, all this other stuff, but he had never sanctioned the PBC. I mean, never sanctioned the WBC to make that fight. It just seemed odd. Definitely didn't go with what a lot of people were saying, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Like I said, I don't know what's happening going forward. I know that, and another thing too, Canelo did say, if I'm not mistaken, that my next opponent will be an undefeated American. Munguia's undefeated, but if I'm not correct, he's a Mexican nationalist, right? He was born in Mexico, so that doesn't make sense. You know?
I think he's full on Mexican, whatever that. I mean, yeah, he was born in Mexico, I believe. So it could be bizarre. Now, here's the other thing, though. Benavidez, this came out on Friday, I believe. Again, who knows, you know, make of this what you will, but supposedly moving up to 175 to take on Alexander Gvozdyk. And then people started immediately theorizing about why that fight would be taking place. And they're saying, oh, Gvozdyk is part of the Canelo team. And I believe he's managed by Eddie Reynoso or something along those lines. So some people were theorizing that maybe it's a way to get some info on Benavidez. But the point is this too, though. Benavidez moving up to 175, I've long contended that, I mean, I'm not the only one. Just look at the size of the dude. 175, he's having a hard time making that weight. And I always, you know, people were saying, oh, Benavidez can make the weight. And I thought, well, maybe he's also trying to run the clock out on Canelo, because the book out on Canelo is he's on the decline with his sledgehammer style, one punch at a time. He's got knee injuries, blah, 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 blah. But I started, so it's my thing for a year and a half ago was, hey, maybe Benavidez is the one that's trying to wait Canelo out. Because every year that passes, Canelo gets older, and that only benefits Benavidez more. But now it seems like this talk of a move to 175 could be indicative that he's bursting at the seams. What do you think, Jimmy?
Yeah, and another thing, it doesn't bode well for him either. So now you're going up to 175. Bivol was looking for a dance partner for a year. Why don't you go up there and snatch it from him? Because if you went up there and beat him, then everybody would definitely clamor for that Canelo fight. Imagine if we went up to 175, beat Bivol, and said, I'll go back down. Of course, everybody's like, nah, he doesn't want to fight because he beat Bivol when he couldn't. But he never asked for that fight. I mean, he for 6 years, he's been staying at 168. And I'm not somebody who discounts a fighter if they don't move weight divisions. I grew up in boxing when people very seldom changed weight divisions because you had same-day weigh-ins. You were pretty much where you were at. You know what I mean? Only the special guys really were able to do that. So I don't hold... I'm just as impressed by someone who spends 5-6 years in one division and dominates it. Right, dominates the whole division for that time period, than I am guys strategically jumping around weight classes, picking off the easiest, perceived champion, the way Broner did, the way Mickey Garcia did. They didn't go up and jump around weight classes to dominate divisions. They jumped around weight classes to avoid the best in those divisions.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, sometimes also if you run out of options, what else do you do? I mean, so I'm with you, man. I think sometimes this whole weight jumping is overrated. Like you said, Broner, he's a 3-weight division world champ, whatever that means. 4. Jeez. Now, it does bring up the question of how Benavidez would look at 175, performance-wise and body-wise. This guy left a comment in his Instagram. He said, congratulations to Benavidez, by the way. Congratulations on moving up to 175, David. Surely you look buff, jacked, and ripped now. Keep up the good work. Can't wait to see how thick, swole, and tight you can get. So evidently people out there are interested in how Benavidez is going to look physically at 175 because, Jimmy, Benavidez is a guy that proportions-wise, he's got generous amounts of fat around his body. So my question is, at 175, how would he look? Would he look about the same, a little fatter, a little fuller? Well, what do you think?
Yeah, his body structure is not really going to change that much because he has a lot of loose skin, and that's it's always going to be hard for him to look tight and buff around the midsection from his chest down because out, you know what I mean? When you blow your skin up like that, it's like letting air out of a balloon. It doesn't hold the shape when it was new. You know what I mean? Like you do a little round balloon, you blow it up, and when all the air comes out, the balloon's all stretched and baggy. That happens to human skin. So it's because when he was 12 or 13 years old, the kid was almost 300 pounds, I think, if I remember correctly. So that's a lot of loose skin. So that's the reason why he always looks like that. He couldn't even have good abs under there. So that could be deceiving how he looks physically. And then again, he just doesn't have the body structure. He's like an ectomorph. He's a very thin type of dude, long, extremities and narrow joints. So he's just, not going to look like a buff guy, no matter really what he does between the stretching his skin out and his skeleton body type.
Mm-hmm. Now, performance-wise, I would assume if he's fighting 175, he's probably going to be weighing in at 175, maybe 174.5, but he's gonna have a bit of a 7-pound respite there from 168. But he's still a guy that looks like he weighs or walks around 200 pounds, right? If that.
Oh yeah, all day,
at the
all
least,
day. Yeah.
So he would still have to cut 25 pounds, prior to a fight, which is a lot, man. Jeez Louise, 25 pounds. Now, that's the other thing, though. Fat weighs less than muscle. So even if he did get ripped, how much really is he losing, right? How much weight is that really?
Yeah, I don't know how much muscle he's eating into. Like your average fighter today eats a lot of muscle. Like Devin Haney, for instance, someone who just would shrink his body, which he was able to do because of his age. That's why they're talking already about him going to 147. He knows every year he gets older, it's going to be harder to do what he was doing. But I'm sure when he was probably start camp at 165 and then starts, shedding off the weight by 145. Now he's eating nothing but muscle. You know what I mean? So to get down to the lightweight now to 140. But yeah, Benavidez probably walks around 205 and then starts just shredding. He probably doesn't start eating really muscle till about 175, 180. But he clearly, his frame and whatnot, put it this way, if this was same-day weigh-ins, he'd be a cruiserweight. Guaranteed. He would not be fighting at super middleweight.
He's eating muscle. Bomac is eating fat. And we're not talking about losing the fat. Now, it's interesting. Let's get to something else here that's adjacent to this whole Canelo saga, Canelo Benavidez saga, because Rick Glazier, a week and a half ago, said that the big Canelo announcement on Tuesday, remember that he was going to do a Tuesday announcement, was going to be that he was leaving the PBC because they couldn't guarantee him his quota. Turns out that that's not what the announcement was. But later on, Rick Glazier was sort of indicated when it came out that that the PBC was looking to make a Munguia fight in order to get supposedly more money, attract more money. Because again, like you said, the Charlo fight win. Well, now Rick Glazier is saying, and this was from about 10-15 minutes ago, the very big #Canelo announcement will be shortly, and I will be further vindicated in entirety. As most know, legalities don't happen quickly, especially in boxing. Appreciate your patience. Enjoy your Sunday. That was Rick Glazier's announcement there. Jimmy, so in other words, what he's saying is that the hijinks and the shadow play occurring with securing the funds to hold a Canelo fight by the PBC, there seem to be running into a bit of a problem here. So do you think that, if you had to speculate, what do you think is going to happen here?
Well, the fact that Glazier's saying that, remember, he's already said before, one of his main contacts in boxing was lawyers out in the West Coast who handle things. So maybe that's it. But if he's saying that, I'm going to be fully vindicated. That means the money wasn't there. Maybe the money that they said they had that was conducive if he only fought Munguia. But again, the publication I'm not familiar with. It came out of Mexico. It was a Mexican publication who wrote that, who declared that they did have the money. The $35 million was secured. I haven't heard that from, nothing from the PBC. Did they, under the maybe they did, I don't know. Did the PBC itself tweet out that they secured the $35 million or they have the money for Canelo?
I don't know, man. You know what I did here on Twitter? Supposedly they're saying, I think it was Dan Rayfield. They said that the schedule's looking like that March 30th card between that scintillating event between Keith Thurman and Tim Tszyu. They got that probably May, which is going to be Canelo versus TBA, the much popular TBA. And then they were saying that somewhere around that time too, Frank Martin versus Tank Davis, pay-per-view, of course. So those three fight events, if they do indeed manage to pull them off, are all pay-per-view. That's the only thing that I've heard from this PPC thing. And I'm you know what? I got an Amazon subscription. I would love to see free fights on Amazon, but it ain't looking like that's what's going to be happening.
Yeah, no, there's going to be no. Listen, you put him on pay-per-view. The reason being, he doesn't care if they only sell 100,000, 75,000, because all he's trying to do is have the fans finance these fights. He was doing the same thing when they were at Showtime and Fox. He couldn't find investors, even if the Showtime budget was run out. He just wanted the fans to finance. A key point here is Al Heyman is not a promoter, and why that's important. A promoter funds the fighters' fights. He puts up the guaranteed pay. He secures the venue, and he has to pay whatever, everything. He's the one doing that. As a advisor, all Al Heyman does is advise boxers. He doesn't actually put up nothing comes out of his pocket. You feel me? So what he's doing, they're trying to secure money for Canelo. And if Rick's saying vindicated, and again, this is speculation, this is total speculation going off what Rick says, what his tweet says, probably that Canelo said, okay, you got the money, let's see it. Where's the escrow? Wire me the escrow account, right? Oh, and then they dicked around, and they didn't send it to him, meaning so they didn't secure the money. It's bullshit. And that might also why Benavidez's people, Sam Lukowitz, said, oh, we offered him $50 million, almost like it's a desperate attempt to say, so if he does walk away, say it's announced that he's breaking ties with the PBC, he's no longer under their umbrella, he's going to go back to fighting on DAZN, right? Then it would just be more, see, we offered him $50 million, he walked away. He probably pulled it down for legal reasons, you know what I mean? I don't know, but that And the fact that he's already been caught lying about that once, about a phantom $50 million, you know, I don't know what that Latin term is they use in court. Lie once, you lie, you know, if you lie to me about one thing, you lie to me about everything.
I mean,
so
that's,
once you get caught lying like that, so.
The fact that he took down the tweet for me is a smoking gun. That they're pulling some sort of shadow play there. They're doing things on the down low, if you will. And I don't enjoy those type of tactics. You know, be frank, be direct, be terse, but don't go around trying to play this corporate espionage tactic because we don't really care. We just want to see the fights at the end of the day. Although, of course, there's people out there that enjoy the drama that is occurring. Now, the other thing about that is, speaking of drama, I'm going to be opening up the phone line soon, by the way, fellas, so stay tuned for that. Ryan Garcia, Jimmy. So apparently, are we done with the Canelo thing?
Yeah, I mean, I got really nothing else to add there, Mr. BDA.
Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting for the announcement. That's all I'm waiting for from Canelo. The Ryan Garcia versus Haney. Apparently, that fight's made. Good news, well, at least for us non-gringos, is that we are going to be getting the fight on Free the Zone. Although I'm a little bit worried, though, because they're saying that in the United States it's going to be pay-per-view, everywhere else is going to be free, but in the eyes of the military-industrial complex, Global Homo, Canada and the United States are synonymous. We get fucking lumped in there with the United States. So hopefully they don't hold this fight on pay-per-view here. Hopefully they make it free, because I'm about done paying for these fights that shouldn't be on pay-per-view. But there's a little bit of a problem here, Jimmy. Controversy, because both parties tweeted out that the fight was going to be taking place in New York. Then all of a sudden, Ryan Garcia came along. He says, ho, hold on, guys. I don't want the fight in New York. I want it in Las Vegas. And he's saying that that's because it's good for his career. I didn't really read the whole thing, but Jimmy, what's he on about?
Yeah, my God, like you said about the zone, I want to echo that point. Fuck the zone. The fact that they're putting that fight behind a paywall, you're gonna hit me up at $225 a year, and everybody $225 a year, and then charge us a pay-per-view for a fight that shouldn't be on pay-per-view. It was one thing when they first bumped up the price, they doubled the price and said, and it'll be an occasional pay-per-view with the likes of a Canelo Alvarez. That went from fucking Devin Haney against Ryan Garcia, a fucking usurper against a fucking has-been that never was. It's just a joke. It just goes to show you they just don't care about their boxing fans over there. That's not a part of their future, I think. I think they're just like, it's so disgusting that they would put that fight behind a paywall while asking people to pay $225 a year. Because what am I getting for free right now from DAZN? Really?
Hey, we got Berlanga
domestic level. Yeah, the Berlanga. And like I called him earlier, a domestic level talent. It's mostly a bunch of British fighters like I don't even give a shit about. We're never going to become anything.
Well,
you know,
the whole British
thing, no
I
offense to them, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'll disagree about that. I disagree about some of these, just because some of these British fights are good, don't get me wrong. But you're right, like that the Berlanga thing is... it was disappointing, but of course they're sprinkling it in other good fights. But the pay-per-view is the main. I mean, that's one of the main criticisms we had from the PBC for the past 3 years, whether they were putting fights that didn't belong on pay-per-view, and now DAZN is doing something similar. Now, some people are saying, "Yeah, but BDA, Ryan Garcia, he's a big name. Of course, they're going to have to put a pay-per-view." They're not doing it in the United. They're not doing it everywhere else in the world because Garcia's reach can only go so far, and that's mostly based around the United States. So they're realizing that most international subscribers are not going to be paying pay-per-view fees for a Ryan Garcia fight, especially since, not for nothing, but this is what I want to get to. Ryan Garcia. So again, he's been dropping the ball hard this past year and a half, from making excuses and blaming De La Hoya and Hopkins, even though they were the ones that told him to avoid the rehydration clauses and all that against Tank Davis, which is what he's now using as an excuse. Paradoxically, it's insane. From the way he fought against in his last fight, turning his back, some people are calling it the bussy roll, because he's turning around, bending over, showing his opponent his bussy. And what else? Oh yeah, then showing up at the PBD podcast like a tweaker. He looked homeless, shoving food down his mouth, really eating and munching, erratically, like he had the jitters or something. taking off his coat. Oh, I'm hot. Again, another indication that he might be on narcotics. Again, I don't know. I'm not saying that that's what it is, but that's what it looks like. His eyes look droopy now, indicative of a guy that's on pills. Rolly Romero sort of called him out, saying, "Hey, we know what you do." Again, these fighters, they travel in small circles. They hear rumors about a person's behavior and outside the ring lifestyle. And then there was another video. In that PBD podcast, he had a hoarse voice. He sounded like Miley Cyrus, which is either he had a virus, throat virus or something, or he'd been up all night partying. He did another interview recently, a couple of days ago. Again, hoarse voice. And then when he went up to the Haneys and started an altercation. Oh, by the way, he's walking around with a bodyguard now. And there was a recent video, Jimmy, a day ago or two ago, where he walked into a store and he starts pointing at people. Are you shopping here? Are you shopping here? I'm buying you whatever you want. I'm paying for everything you want. And then he gathered a crowd into a store and bought them shoes and stuff. And it just reminded me of like this decadent Roman emperor traveling around the city, throwing loaves of bread, trying to buy the people's love. Jimmy, Ryan Garcia, I don't think he's going to be showing up in great shape against Devin Haney.
Yeah, he's gonna lose that fight either way. But listen, that kid, it's something off with him. I'm just gonna be honest, something seriously off with that dude. And I don't think he's a fighter as much as he is an influencer, because that's what he seems to get most excited about. He's literally just an influencer who happened to box. And I think he's going to get made to look silly by Haney, and which sucks. But that's the reason why Haney's fighting him. Let's be honest. It's not like Haney's going up to 140, 147, calling out killers. He's going after Ryan Garcia. And I'm not. And if anybody's listen. And again, I grew up watching boxing when the pay-per-views first came around. It was because it was the ultimate act of like respect for the fighters. These are the two best at their class, and it's not even just the two best of their weight class. They had almost become iconic fighters. I mean, look at pay-per-views from the 80s and 90s. I mean, Ryan Garcia has no business being the undercard of a fucking pay-per-view, never mind the headliner. Neither does Devin Haney. What the fuck does he bring in? His numbers are atrocious. This thing isn't going to sell. And when they first put out the fight poster, it didn't say pay-per-view on it. Now, from what you're saying, what I've heard, that it is going to be pay-per-view, I'm livid. And I can afford it. It's not about the money. It really isn't about the money at all. It's just, it's like, I hate being taken advantage. I'll give you my shirt off my back, but you ain't taking it. You know what I'm saying? And these motherfuckers are just taking that shit. And the difference between DAZN and PBC, at least the PBC might be putting everything behind a fucking paywall, but I don't have to pay an annual subscription, for it too. It's just disgusting. It's like it's like getting fucking gang raped and you fucking had to give the guys gas money to get there. Fuck off.
I'll say this, man. I'll say this. I understand about the shirt analogy too, because I've had women try to take my shirt off all the time, just rip it off in order to catch a gander at my physique. So I understand where you're coming from. You don't ever want to, it's not about, like you say, it's not about the money, but it is about the principle, because money is money. Whether you're a millionaire or not, $100 still remains $100. And it's about whether the product deserves. And that's the other thing though. I think the people now have had it with Ryan Garcia because of all the excuses he made. And the fact that he looks like he's on the Jermall Charlo Express now. As a boxing fan, I'm thinking, how seriously is he taking this fight? Because he said after the Tank Davis fight, I wasn't taking it seriously. That's the biggest fight of your life, and you're not taking it seriously? Why should I then pay premium fees to watch this guy? And then on top of that, he's fighting a guy who's boring in Devin Haney. I know I'm a boxing fan. I'm going to have to pay for it, obviously, because I'm a degenerate junkie when it comes to the world of pugilism. But no, man, I'm not... I'm not going to do it with a smile if I do it at all. And here's the other thing about Ryan Garcia. Yeah. I know he's probably listening. This whole thing of using drugs, that's an illusion created by the followers of Satan, that they make you think, look, listen, I'll give you a little story. There was one guy, let's say he was a Mexican-Canadian, let's say, who was a real big fan of this combat sport, right? He will remain nameless. He was part of an industry at one point that was highly energetic, very competitive, And you always had to be on point to stay there. And people would come up to this individual and say, hey, listen, man, if you really want to make it here and you want to be ahead of the curve, you got to take this, you got to take that. We got things to keep you sharp, pills, powder. And this person replied, oh, you know what else is powder like in composition? The earth that covers the tracks of the true path of the Crimson Cross. I don't need your fucking pills. And that person became highly successful without, being drug-free. So that's what I would try to tell Ryan Garcia, that you don't need these drugs. But for whatever reason, he feels like he has to live it up, enjoy life. But let me tell you something.
Well, I think you should just try a lot of fentanyl.
There's nothing enjoyable about going in the afterlife, spending the afterlife in a boiling pit of hell. That's all I'm saying.
That's great. And listen, another thing that really fries my ass about Garcia, wasn't he the one like last month when tweeting out something about us as fighters have to get together and save this sport?
Yeah.
And then he turns around and he fucking puts his next fight undeserved pay-per-view because why? Because he got a lot of fucking Instagram followers? Like, seriously?
Exactly.
Get the fuck out of here.
He's overstating his worth. And again, I gotta go back to that. Why does he insist on having the fight in Vegas? Because the problem right now, we're finding ourselves in a similar situation as 2008, 2009, where people aren't willing to shell out money for these types of fights. And if he wants to hold it in Vegas, think about it. That means people from California, which is probably where a lot of these Haney fans and Garcia fans are going to be coming from, would have to pay to get to Vegas. Some of them would have to probably also ponder maybe getting a hotel room for at least one day. Yeah, and then the tickets are going to be highly priced because it's going to be Vegas prices. Whereas if they hold it, like Haney's, like you said, he's not a pay-per-view box office star, but at least at the gate they did well apparently in the Prograis fight, which was in or around Haney's hometown. So why not that fight begs to be held in a place where boxing fans can access it, not in fucking Sodom and Gomorrah, Vegas.
Yeah, I think he's just looking to wring every dollar he can out of it, and he knows that Vegas will pay a much bigger, fee to host the fight. So absolutely. I think that's what's it. I mean, I maybe because there's also a lot more of his community in the West Coast in Vegas. But there's a lot in Provincetown in the East Coast too. So but I still think there's more in the West Coast. So yeah, maybe it's just he wants it near his community.
Maybe. I mean, I tell you what, Ryan Garcia, if he held it in San Francisco, I think a lot of his fans would go see him right there, man. I think he's got a lot of fans in San Francisco, a lot of die-hard and emphasis on the hard part of San Francisco. Jimmy, I don't know why you're laughing at that, but listen, the phone lines are open. Phone number's right there in the left-hand middle portion of your screen. Make sure to call in. All right, so that's the other thing about Haney Garcia. What do
you think? What's the chances people, either Mirage or someone else, is going to call in to bash Canelo? Are we gonna put some odds on that? We don't have to put money. Let's just put some odds. I'm saying around 100 to 1.
Probably people that believe. I don't know about the odds, man, but probably people are going to bring up. Someone's going to bring up the fact that they still believe that $50 million offer was true. That someone's going to call in and say that. But here's another thing I wanted to bring up to you, Jimmy. And by fellas, don't forget to hit the like. Hit the like. It really helps us out. What's his name? Beterbiev. It's almost like an anniversary for him to get injured every year. At his age, I don't know, maybe that's just part of the package that comes with aging or whatever, but he's getting injured. So somebody posted this video on Twitter of him and his training habits. And some people were speculating about maybe this is why he's getting injured. I want you to tell me what you see here and what, if anything, this means.
Is it playing?
I'm sharing the screen with you.
Yeah, okay, because it's not, all it's doing is I got a black screen with a blue circle. So let me go on the TV then, on YouTube.
Well, I'm going to keep looping it here. For the people that might just be listening and not watching, he's lifting. I mean, when he's doing those bicep curls or whatever, it doesn't look like much, but there he looks like he's doing pushing some hard weight there For most people, that's a lot. For me, it's nothing. But for most people, that's probably a lot. And for a guy like Beterbiev at that age, what do you think, Jimmy? Is this one of the reasons why?
I'm going to it right now. But yeah, no more than likely, that's one of the reasons most guys get injured a lot. Especially, listen, when you have stuff, even if it was the old time days, the old timers, people say, well, no, things have advanced in training. Yes, a lot of technology advancements, but still the same human body. And yeah, I'm watching it right now. Oh yeah. Clean and jerks. He's doing shoulder. A lot of guys, what he's doing, individual shit. No, that's nothing too crazy for his body weight. The clean and jerks can screw up shoulders. A lot of the stuff he's doing there, maybe because he lives in Montreal now, right? It's not like he lives in, I was thinking Kazakhstan where the weather's so terrible, he has to do stuff inside. But all those exercises, there's plenty of, I forget the actual word for it, but it's just resistance of the human body. You can do that, upside down handstands with your feet on the wall. Those are great for your shoulders. There's all tons of different exercises you can do without using weights. There's trainers out there. I mean, you do not touch weights. Absolutely not. You do all the, remember Rocky, and he goes up to Russia and he starts breaking wood, and doing stuff like that. Just like, working the muscles in a way would, best simulate a punch. But yeah, I'm not. Heavy weight training for boxers is not good because it puts too much strain on your connective tissues. And no matter how big your muscles grow, your connective tissues don't change.
Right.
And it just makes it easier to be injured, to get shoulder injuries, and especially like bursitis and arthritis.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of heavyweight training for a fighter. Maybe in the off season, but keep it controlled. And I'm more about drop sets. Doesn't have to be heavyweight because heavyweight puts on mass. You lift heavy to gain mass. Boxer's not trying to become a bodybuilder. And sometimes they get just like everybody, like they see muscle growing on their body. They just want to keep going heavier and they get caught up with it. But yeah, it's dangerous.
So I always tell people at the gym, you can do some things that Mr. BDA does, but you can't do everything Mr. BDA does. And hopefully that gets in there because some people, they get a little overzealous. By the way, fellas, the phone lines are open. Let's go to the phone lines real quick here. Let's go to 323. 323, run the air, 323. What's on your mind?
What's going on, fellas? Wanted to discuss a little something that I heard from Rick Glacier about the Canelo fiasco here, and I don't know if you guys already talked about it, and I am assuming you already did, but I'm just jumping in on this right now. And supposedly those guys didn't want to fight each other. It went both ways, which I don't know. It makes a little sense because the fight with Bosnick seemed to happen overnight, where I think they probably were already in the works for that fight. And I didn't know, actually, prior to yesterday that Bosnick was handled and managed by Eddie Reynoso. So whatever animosity the two teams, everyone thinks, have for each other, I don't think it's as bad as... I think they were all in on it, really. I think what Rick Glacier, what I heard him say today, made a lot of sense. Because I was thinking about how, why would there be this big money offer? Why this whole ducking thing? I think the whole thing, they were in on the whole thing. Even either they're fanning the flames for a juicier fight down the road, or the guys don't want to fight each other, and Benavidez just can't make the weight anymore. I don't know, but something's going on, and I think they're all in on it. That's what I think. I don't think two teams that are at odds with each other would have a problem making a fight with another fighter in their stable. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So I think it's all just a bunch of shit.
It seems to me like the factor X here is the PBC. I think it's the fact I think a big part of what's holding this fight back is the fact that these people cannot raise the money. They don't have the funds. They don't have the infrastructure. They might have the expertise in a guy like Espinoza, but they no longer have that Showtime infrastructure, the base, the launching pad to put this fight together.
Well, I mean, I don't think Canelo could at this point, we have to think about this conceptually. Canelo is by himself bigger than the PBC. There's nothing the PBC they can do that'll draw numbers like Canelo, unless Tank Davis were to fight Ryan Garcia again or 3 more times. So that's the only way I see the PBC making more money than Canelo, really. Like, Canelo's pretty much calling the shots here with the money. So, yeah, PBC probably is playing a part in this. But overall, I think these two teams are, I think they've been talking. I don't think they're at odds with each other too much. I mean, you think about this. I mean, if you were going to make a transaction with someone that was at odds with you, and wouldn't that be kind of? It would just be kind of weird. I don't know. I don't buy it. Something smells fishy. I don't buy it. The whole $50 million offer sounded ridiculous. Like, what are they going to do? Take out a loan? Like, going to go to Wells Fargo and take out a fucking loan to pay Canelo $50 million? Like, that sounds so fucking utterly dumb. So
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have to agree with that, and that's not the first time I've heard of it. I've heard this proposition. I don't know if you guys remember, but I think there was a proposition like this from Lukowitz last year, where somebody offered Canelo $40 million, and he turned it down. And it's like, you don't offer him anything. You can't offer him anything. You can't afford to offer him anything. So, I mean, what are you going to do? Pay him basically pay him whatever he earns? So that all doesn't make any sense to me. And the fact that we don't even know who he's fighting and everybody's already making these assumptions. Like, I was wondering why Benavidez Sr. was so quiet throughout this whole thing. And that's because they were working on the other fight with another fighter in Reynoso stable. So, I don't know. I don't buy the animosity. I don't buy any of that shit. The other thing, why wouldn't they make the Garcia and Haney fight, at least in Southern California? LA, it would do great numbers in LA.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the other thing. That's the other question. You're right. There's a lot of sleight of hand going on here, a lot of subterfuge from the PBC. That's why I don't trust anything that comes out of their mouth. And they're keeping it, they're playing it pretty close to the vest. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm waiting for an official announcement. Rick Glacier just came out a couple of minutes ago, and he said that something's coming probably this week, which is gonna finally clear the air and let us know what's up. So we'll see what happens there. Anyway, listen, Don Margazos, man, we got to move on here.
In reference to what? In reference to the Canelo thing or the Haney and Garcia thing?
The Canelo saga.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, that'll eventually sort itself out, and if those two don't fight, well, I don't know. It's not going to tarnish anybody's legacy. I think the other guy can make his own bones somewhere else, and I don't know. But the Haney and Garcia fight should be, I mean, New York. I don't know. New York's fine, I guess. I don't think Ryan has that much of a fan base out there. And yeah, like I overheard Jimmy talking about how it's pretty much on everybody's mind that this guy wants to cash out already. He's not going to he's going to embarrass himself with Devin Haney. It's a total mismatch.
But hopefully, because he doesn't seem to be serious about boxing. So if he's not, I'd like to see Haney just outbox him, and finally this guy can go party and spend the rest of his youth partying it up.
I mean, he wants to have supermodels out on Instagram. This guy's an Instagram fighter. Let's just be real here. So anyway, guys, yeah, great show.
All right, thank you.
Have a good weekend. Take it easy.
You too, man. Take it easy. Go to church. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. It's a Sunday. Hit the like, everybody. We're at 57 likes. Let's get it to at least 80. All right, so if 23 people hit that like, we'll stay on the air. Otherwise, after this call, it's over, Johnny. So 23, we need 23 people. It's over.
Stay golden, Johnny.
Stay golden. What? Anyway, 23 people. That's all. That's all we're looking for. 23 people. All right. By the way, I'm Your Leader says 10 a.m. Mass is over. Not in the school of the Path of the Crimson Cross, the Mass is never over. Open up a Bible, you start your own Mass. All right, let's go to 510 here. 510, you're on the air. 510, what's on your mind?
What's up, Jimmy? What's up, BDA? Shout out to Recognize. Shout out to Boxing Chief. I just came to call back in and make make good on that bet that Jimmy, or that pseudo bet, whatever you guys had earlier on. I'm gonna, you know my deal. I'm gonna bash the shit out of Canelo. I mean, at this point, look, man. Let's be honest, man. Look. I'm trying to rationalize this in the best way I can. I'm trying to be charitable to your people, to your crowd, to your audience, to the Canelitas. And I don't necessarily have to, right? Because once again, this guy is look. I'm not going to try to raise my blood pressure, but let me ask you guys this: what's the extra reason? Why does he not want to fight Benavidez? Because this guy, I've even said it, right? This guy beats Benavidez. I think Benavidez, overall, he's a hype job. He's a weight bully. He has major deficiencies, even when it comes to his offense. He leaves himself open too much. The only reason why he's able to absorb the punches is because of the weight. So, in your opinion, what's the reason? Aside from the economical part, what's the reason why this guy does not want to fight him? Because I think he beats him easy. It's a 65.
I would say it's
35.
Well, I'd say, brother, it's 100% economic. I would say if that fight, even if they're both sides behind the scenes are agreeing that they want to fight each other, Canelo, and rightfully so. And again, I want to see the Benavidez fight. I wouldn't be happy if it didn't go down. But that being said, if that money isn't in escrow, he's not going to do it. Like DAZN would pay him when they would fight, on whatever it was. He was getting half the money up front on the day the contract was signed. If he was making $35 million, he'd get $17.5 million deposited into his fucking bank account that day. That's the kind of relationship he had there. So he wants to make sure that fucking money is real. And that's part of the thing with the PBC. I mean, it's always been playing games. So for Canelo, and it might not even be Canelo. He might not even be on the negotiations. He could be out playing golf for all we know. But his fucking army of attorneys that he has are probably not until that money's in escrow. Our guy's not signing anything, making any agreements until it's in escrow. So again, but a lot of this, I wouldn't get worked up either way. I'd wait until it's announced, whatever he's doing. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't put it past him to be playing everybody up, and then they announce the Benavidez fight for the September. Or maybe they have that fight on DAZN. Who knows? But I can't picture Canelo still staying in boxing and avoiding that fight. I'd be shocked if he did. That's just my opinion.
All right, Booty Juice, anything else you want to say before we move on?
Yeah, I have a couple more things to say, actually, BDA. Okay. I don't know. In my point of view, I think it's once again, this is a Canelo A-side drama. Fucking, I get to do what I want. I don't know, man. It's when the fuck... Look, man, if you're the A-side, right, this is how I see it, right? Simply put, if you're the A-side, you fight anybody, anytime, man. Just fucking put up the money. This guy's making a shit ton of money. And actually, he's only really making money here in the States, really. I think even his... Because, in Mexico, long story short, he's being criticized as we speak. A lot of people are disliking the fact that he's not taking the Benavidez fight. And that's the thing that always annoyed me about this dude, his whole fucking career, man. When you're out there being touted as the best, you fight the best, period, man. There's no excuse in my mind. I don't understand the even if it is economical, okay, fine. Look, people are pumping money into him, right? So it's easy look, if I was in his shoes, I'd say, look, you know what? Pay this guy $15 million. Oh, he said $5 million. I'm gonna pay this guy $15 million. And I'm going to whoop your ass. If you want the rematch, I'm going to whoop your ass again for more money. But you know what I'm saying? I know I'm in control. I have the money. I can make the fight today, tomorrow, yesterday, the day before yesterday. So, to me, it's why the fuck do you guys give this guy a pass, man? I don't understand it. Because any other Mexican legend that's been out there, you name the fucking name, whether it be Morales, whether it be fucking Barrera, whether it be Salvador Sanchez, it was.
But none of those guys paid for their own fights.
Jimmy, hold on.
It was always. What was that? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. But you was asking him to. Are you asking him to finance his own fight? I'm sorry, but is that what you're asking? Just curious.
No, that's not what I don't think that's what he's saying.
That's essentially what he's doing now, Jimmy. And again, the only reason why he has that money in the first place is because there's nothing going on in boxing right now. The Mexican Americans here are the ones that are watching his fights. Because again, I'm doing my research, right? I have a lot of suspicions, a lot of assertions, and I don't like talking without evidence, right? contrary to popular belief here, right? I understand people think like I'm just a hater, blah blah blah. I'm a retard, whatever. But I'm trying to collect the facts, right, and speak facts here. But as far as I understand the situation now, he's losing steam in Mexico, right? Even with the whole PBC or his television deal, a lot of people were bringing up the narrative. Oh, Canelo! Oh, thank God for Canelo. He's not making his pay-per-view in Mexico. But I mean, I know that for the last 40 fucking years over there, nobody makes money pay-per-view. In the pay-per-view format does not work in Mexico. That's why everything still to this day is fucking cable television free. So fucking people fucking talk about this guy like as if he's doing you a fucking favor for fucking bringing fucking free fights over there. It's not because of him. It's because of the fucking format. That's how it works. Because in Mexico, nobody's making money like that. They make their money the other way. It's fucking ridiculous, man. When is this guy gonna fucking fight?
Calm yourself
down. When is this guy gonna fucking actually bring the fight to the public, to the Mexican public? Why is this guy getting a pass by everybody else? Why?
All right, Mr. Buttigieg, first of all, you mentioned you talked about that, about the pass. You said people are giving a pass. You said the Mexican. First of all, if it's true that he's scared of Benavidez, which is the same thing we heard about him versus Golovkin, well, what happened? Mexicans started clowning him in public events, in public venues. They started saying, "Well, you're gonna fight Golovkin," and he ended up fighting Golovkin. So if you really believe that narrative, then that means that people. Hold on, let me finish. Hold on, listen. I'll let you scream for 5 minutes straight. Let me give me
go ahead. No, go ahead. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
No,
and the other thing is this.
Yeah, go ahead.
The other thing is we've already been through this, but it's got to be reiterated. This whole thing about how he's never fought the best. Even a guy like Juan Manuel Marquez, which, by the way, the mainstream media in Mexico, they've adopted that ESPN American approach where they love to overly criticize a guy because they know it gets that sporting figure riled up and they can have fun with it. Juan Manuel Marquez, somebody just posted that
I'm aware.
Video. Somebody posted that video on Twitter where Juan Manuel Marquez, who's a humongous critic of Canelo Alvarez, and I think this was in a clip from 2018 when they're saying, "Well, who else do you want to see him fight?" And he goes, "Well, there's Caleb Plant, there's Billy Joe Saunders, there's who else did he mention? He mentions other super middleweights, Daniel Jacobs. He mentioned." And I'm thinking, oh, okay, all the guys he ended up fighting and beating. And even then, that's still not enough. Oh, Canelo never fought anybody. He didn't fight the best. So it's quite clear that either because of all-out bias or because of the opportunities or the narratives that have to be fermented by the mainstream media, people are always going to criticize because it sells in the mainstream media. So this whole narrative of Canelo's never fought the best, I disagree. And like Jimmy said, at the end of the day, to make a long story short, like Jimmy said, wait for the announcement because you're sitting there driving around 100 miles per hour, screaming your lungs out in your vehicle, and we don't even know what's going to happen yet. So once you actually hear some bad news, then you can start losing your shit.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just said once you actually get some bad news, then you can start losing the plot. Oh, the plot, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same shit with this guy, man. This guy, I don't know, dude. It's just, I don't know, man. It's so fucking ridiculous, man. Just fight. How about you fight actual challenges? Because that's what every other single fucking Mexican champion has done. He's fought the best of the best at the point in time, and he's tested himself. This guy, I mean, it's like. He doesn't want the B-ball fight. He doesn't want to fucking fight Crawford, which is understandable. You know, the weight discrepancy. I get it. I want to see it. Like I pointed out, I want to see him Crawford, Morrell, B-ball, Beterbiev. And let's say he doesn't fight that, right? Let's say he doesn't do that. Just for the love of God, please fight Beterbiev, please, for the love of God. Because I already see. I'm aware of the bitches in your audience that have already made excuses for him. Oh, well, Canelo's gonna go out there until he gets knocked out. That's the type of guy that Canelo is. That's not fucking true, man. He quit in the B-ball fight, dude. That's another fucking narrative that I don't understand, right? But I'm not gonna go on that tangent, right? But that's always been the fact of the matter in that situation. He got his ass whooped. He got spanked. He got outmatched, outclassed. And then you guys say, oh, he was too tired. He was too tired. I don't buy that shit at all, man. But I'm gonna just leave it with this, man. I'm just leave it with this. I just don't understand why people give him passes. That's all I've been saying since the very beginning. This guy gets free passes. If you were to look at his career in terms of what he's done and compare it to other Mexican legends, it's like far. You know, this guy has gotten. Obviously, we understand, right? You know, when you're the A side, even like I'll give you an example. Just saying with this, Julio Cesar Chavez when he fought Medrick Taylor in the I believe it was the first or second fight. One of the two, right? You know, when he knocked him out in the 12th round, I believe that was bullshit. And trust me, Julio Cesar Chavez, to me, he's the greatest of all time. He's a Mexican GOAT. He embodies the Mexican spirit. He embodies the Mexican style. That's the motherfucker right there that not only shows respect to his people, but shows respect to himself, how he carries himself in the ring, out of the ring. And this guy, but that guy got you know, I don't excuse Julio Cesar Chavez for doing that. I thought that Medrick Shoulder won that fight, and they should have given them that fight. They should have given them, you know, the trilogy or whatever. But case in point, you know, that's how I see boxing. That's how I thought of boxing. So I understand that throughout history of the time, people have given other fighters, like, you know, the certain passes. And all I've been saying, this guy's gotten more fucking passes in the whole fucking career. He's made people go up in weight. He's put rehydration classes on them. Why sit here and complain about Tank Davis? Right? I don't give a fuck about Tank Davis. He's trash, he's garbage, whatever. But this guy, it's a similar thing, man. You complain about Tank Davis fucking giving guys rehydration classes. Not this guy. Not this guy. Why? What the fuck? What the fuck does he do that's sensational?
You said,
what does he do that's sensational?
Booty Juice, you said you were going to end it.
Man.
You see what happens if I let you go? I let you. You know, here's what happened. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Oh my God. Booty Juice. Calm down, man. Booty Juice. I'm tired of this stupid shit, man. This is the problem. I let you go, and then you just go. You said you were gonna end it, and then you just go on and on and on. You gotta calm down, man. We're gonna let you go for today. Go take a drink. Go take a cup of tea or something. Go to mass. You need the true path of the Crimson Cross. All right, take it easy out there, man. All right, now, because I'm sorry, man, but if I let you go, you just go on for another 5 minutes. By the way, fellas, I told you, don't forget to hit the like. We're 3 likes away from 80. 3 likes away from 80. I said that after this call, if we didn't get to the 80, it was over, Johnny. We're 2 likes away now. 2 likes away. So 2 more people hit the like, and we'll stay on the air here, all right? In the meantime, let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 929. 929, you're on the air. 929, what's on your mind?
I just want to say real quick, man, it's like there was like 150 guys in the YouTube audience, and there's so like 80 likes now. Like, come on, man, get the likes up.
There you go.
Mean, come on, man.
I concur.
Yeah, so Canelo put it out there in his big announcement from last couple of weeks ago that, all right, we have somebody, you know, and we're going to announce it at the end of the week. And then a week passed, and we don't got a name. And now another week has passed, and he's kind of letting you know that, oh, it's an undefeated American, but he's not telling you who. And I'm like, if he picks Charlo, I'm going to be worried what Booty Juice is going to be feeling like. He might go on the same script.
I mean, you heard him, right? You heard him earlier. You heard him. I just let him go. I didn't say anything. To rile him up. He just started going from 1 to 10, and he's driving, but he's going to get George Floyd if he's not careful. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, anyway, man, it's like, you know, I see similarities between Canelo and LeBron James, how those 2 highly successful and popular, you know, sporting figures, they command a media orbit in their respective sports. Like, you know, LeBron James has haters, right? And especially in the media. He has Skip Bayless, you know? And Canelo, he has David Faitelson from ESPN. I don't know if he's still there or not, but yeah, it happens. And it's like, to me, I think it's just outrage culture. How people just want to react to everything that they do. You know, it makes them highly polarizing unnecessarily. Because to me, I think personally, those 2 guys, personality-wise, are just average. I don't know what appealing about them, but they're just very good at what they do, you know? But I'm just tired of hearing all about the speculation about who's going to fight next. I mean, it's okay to just shut the TV off or turn the phone off, put it down, and just go on with your life, man. You don't have to fucking trip out over this thing. You know how this shit has got this guy? You know? Everybody is still bullshitting and arguing over, oh, he's a doctor for Benavidez, all this. Like, Benavidez hasn't really proven himself that much. You know, he hasn't built his marquee value. And plus, that's $5 million, right? That's supposedly that his father had accepted was never followed up. What happened afterwards, Jose? Well, what happened? He was talking all that shit. Then they gave you an offer. Oh, you didn't like it? Well, that's how much you're worth because it's more than what you regularly got paid by Al Heyman. So all this thing, and then fucking Samson, bro, who's just a Coyote manager for Al Heyman, just a stooge, for the PBC. He has to put it out there that I gave him $55 million. No, he just adds $5 million to a $50 takeout. $50 million. So it's all about generating clicks. I think it's about time we just get off the fucking Canelo media tip. Like, forget it. It's like we'll just wait till he announces it, and then we can react.
You're absolutely right. It's called the outrage culture, the outrage industry. People get off on that every day. It gives them something to tweet about and rail against. And that's why, not for nothing, but that's why we stayed MIA for about 10 we're more, because what we're going to talk about that every 2-3 days, it's exhausting at some point. You're absolutely right. Anything else you want to say, Virtuoso, before we move on?
No, man. I just want to say that Ryan, he has an opportunity to have coast-to-coast appeal, bi-coastal drawing power, but instead he wants to be a bisexual. So screw him.
Yeah, I was actually going to interject and say that, but yeah, I didn't see where you were going with it. All right, man. Shout out to you, Virtuoso. Thank you for your call.
Yeah,
Call
I
back
have to
next
beat
time,
you to the joke.
All right. Yeah, you did beat me to the punch. All right, take it easy out there. Thank you for your call. All right, that was Virtuoso. Yeah, it's true. People need to get away from the screen. People get stuck to their screens, and they love to react. It gives them dopamine. I'm not saying that's what happened with Booty Juice, but I've seen that happen with other people. Shout out to SSC, by the way, for his contribution with the super chat. He says, what's he saying? He says, "As Juice crying again. Don't tell him any facts though, or he's gonna start screaming. If you don't like him, don't watch his fights. It's that easy." Well, there you go. That's a sensible pointer from SSC. Then also shout out again to SSC for his contribution to the Super Chat. And by the way, shout out to SSC for renewing his membership program. Shout out to him. He says, "I don't know how this kid gets so worked up about another man." I mean, hey, again, it's people like it, man. It gets them riled up. It gives you a boost. Some might say it gives you a booty boost. Shout out to Don Chile Relleno for his contribution with the Super Chat. He says, "Booty loose sounds like a male torta, 5'6", 205 pounds with a lineup. Probably got named Aiden by his single torta mom." Come on, why we gotta go with that against the tortas? The tortas play a valuable role in society. But shout out to Don Chile Relleno, and shout out to Billy Hoyle and the Pimps for his contribution to the Super Chat. He says, "They said Canelo is Mayweather hate level 4 years ago. The LBC, Floyd Purper Slurpers, forgave him against Berto, fight number 49. At this rate, Canelo is the all-time greatest pimp." That's right, PIMP. But for some reason, I guess that he doesn't have the complexion for the protection, as they like to say. So that might explain why that's going that way. Let's go to another phone. Hey, Jimmy, anything else you want to say here before we move on to another phone call? Jimmy. All right, I think Jim is making himself one of those famous espressos.
No, I wouldn't turn couldn't get the mute button back up. But yeah, no, I'm good. I'm pretty good on all that. If you want to take some more calls?
Yes, absolutely, man. Let's go to...
All right, brother.
All right, man. Hey, by the way, yeah, we're 4 likes away from 100. So by the time we're done with this phone call, by the time we wrap it up, I want people to negotiate their way to that. Let's go to 562. Is this working? 562, you're on the air. 562, what's on your mind? 562.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. 562, what's up?
Hello? I'm just sitting here thinking, so Canelo signed a new PBC contract. So he fought Charlo in September. Supposed to fight in May, September.
Right.
I'm like, okay, he's not rematching Bivol. I hope to God he's not going to fight the other Charlo brother. It'll be a bum fest. It has to be David Benavidez. Has to be his next fight. If you want any, he can't rematch Bivol. They ain't going to make any money. So I'm just trying to figure out, if this is his last year of boxing, let's say, he's going to retire end of 2024. Hopefully not. It has to be David Benavidez first. It's the only way any money, if he goes back to Mexico City to fight there again, or to bring it back to Las Vegas, it has to go out in a better way, because as soon as Canelo's gone, boxing's going downhill. Let's be real. He's the only reason most people pay pay-per-view these days to watch an exciting fight. Like Jaime Munguia, yeah, he's exciting. He's not Canelo. He's another good Mexican fighter coming up. They're not fighting anytime soon. He's way too young and inexperienced for that. So I'm just trying to wrap my head around this new PBC deal, what they have set up for him. You know?
It's not looking good with the PBC. I think they're the main stumbling block here. I don't think, like I said, I think they're having a hard time raising funds for this fight or just even arranging it. But again, I could be wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong because I want to see a Benavidez fight. Rick Glacier says that there's an announcement coming this week. So, but I don't know, man. It's looking likely, Caller, like they would probably try to make one big money fight for Canelo, maybe like a Munguia type situation to refill their coffers. Even though they have to split the revenue with Golden Boy, like Jimmy said, that looks unlikely.
American?
Well, I mean,
who's this undefeated American they're talking about? I can't think of anybody.
But that's the thing. That is Caller. That is if you believe what Canelo said about finding an American. Maybe he could change his mind and say, you know what, I'm actually going with Munguia. It's like I don't know why people are holding him to his.
You guys think he would fight Munguia before he retires? I don't see that fight happening.
I think he'd fight
they want to protect that guy's record. You know?
Nah, not for that money he would make. Not for the money for the Canelo money. They throw him in there. I think that's what they're looking for. Munguia in May, Benavidez September, or maybe they've already seen that Benavidez is playing hardball. He says I can't make 168 for long. Maybe they push that fight for May. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, man. There's too much speculation going on right now.
Like the other Charlo brother, I don't know much about him. I haven't watched. Like, is he undefeated? Does he have a decent record? Like, if his brother put up that much of a piss-poor fight, I can't imagine what the other guy's going to do. So that just doesn't make sense, unless they just want to watch him beat the shit out of somebody for 12 rounds again. Or knock him out, hopefully. But
he's got
for a guy who's going to retire soon, they need a good game plan to send him out, because, I don't know, it's not looking nice.
Well, Jermall Charlo, that's Jermell's brother. He's got a positive record, but I'm talking about positive as in the drug test record. That's what he's positive for. I don't know. I don't think he'll fight Charlo. That's unlikely. So we'll have to see. But anyway, listen, Caller, we got to move on here. Thank you for your call. Call back next time, all right, man? Take it easy out there.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you. Same to you. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. We've got 100 likes. All right. So we stay going here. We keep going on the BDA Express. Let's go on to another phone call here. Who is next? Let's go to 470. 470, you're on the air. 470, what's on your mind?
What's up, BDA? What's up, Jimmy?
Oh, Sobers, what's up, man?
What's up, bro?
Sober.
So, yeah, I've been hearing all the hoopla and hoop-doo. Everyone's, on the edge of their seats, waiting for Canelo's next announcement for his fight. He's already supposed to retire, and he ain't shit. He's past it. But when he says, hey, guys, I'm going to let y'all know next week who I'm going to fight, and he lets it drag on, everyone's making videos where everyone's fucking ranting, losing their voice, about to crash their cars, thinking about it. Who the fuck is he going to fight? You know what I mean? And really, he laid it out. If people haven't peeped Game BDA, I feel like I've already seen the play.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always going to be Charlo, bro. Before he fought little Charlo, it was going to be Jermall Charlo. He's always been wanting to fight him. He's always been wanting to make that fight, dude. He said, I'm going to fight an undefeated American. It's Charlo, bro. Stop thinking it's going to be David. He already announced he's fighting Gobzik. And that's a guy managed by Eddie Reynoso, right? So his camp is already starting to do business with Canelo's camp. So if you guys can't see what's going on, they're already building a relationship. You know what I mean? What Canelo's doing, what I see Canelo doing is he's going to make David Benavidez jump up. Let me see how you can jump real quick. David's going to jump up to 175. Okay, now come back down. Let me see if you squeeze back down to 168. All right, now maybe I'll fight you.
I don't know, man. That sounds like some asshole tactics, man. But Charlo, I mean, listen, Charlo is living up the high. He's taking risks too, though. Jermall. I mean, I saw he was at the beach recently, and you gotta, I don't know, bet the fact that he's probably out there swimming at night while inebriated. That's very dangerous. So if he's doing that type of stuff, he likes a life of danger, and he'd probably risk fighting Canelo even in this type of deteriorated state that he finds himself in. So I don't know, man. I doubt that the Charlo fight would be that, but I'm pretty sure you'd enjoy it, right? Because you've been looking forward to Canelo being the Charlo brothers for a long time now.
Yeah, bro. Because I've been hearing for years how he's been ducking them, and now when he poo-pooed that Crawford fight, people started saying he was scared of Crawford. That's what I'm saying, bro. He should have just fought him, bro.
Yeah.
So he's damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know what I mean?
There you go. That's the price of being the A side.
You make them an apple, whoop their asses, bro. So you can't say he's ducking.
Yeah, he should just do that. Take care of everybody. All right, well, listen, Sobers, man, we got to move on here. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
Oh, yeah, bro. I just got to commend you guys. I got to commend, the VDA, the organization. You guys are LGBTQ friendly, bro. You let male to female transsexuals on here and go on their coke-addled rants, bro, while they're driving their cars at over 100 miles an hour, dude. You guys are really cool for that, guys. You know what I mean? Just you guys are nice to let people like Voodoo Loose come on here and express themselves in such a way.
Well,
yeah, that's all I had to say, guys.
Thank you, man. Full disclosure, we are subsidized by the Open Foundation. So, Open Society Foundation. So that's where this all comes from, man. Well, shout out to you, Sobers. Thank you for your call, and the call back next time, right, man? Take it easy out there.
All right, bro.
Later, Sober.
All right. So we're getting about time for me to go to my latrine break, but we still got a lot of phone calls here. Let's go to another phone call here. Who is next? We've got 914. 914, you're on the air. 914, what's on your mind?
What's up, BDA? What's up, Jimmy? It's Fernando.
What's up, Fernando?
I know the
Fernando,
video
what's up,
title is Canelo-Mania. But, what I notice is why is all the responsibility of the sport on one person? There's a lot of other things wrong with the sport than who Canelo decides to fight next. Now, I'm going to say this. I would like to see Canelo versus Benavidez, but at least they didn't, have us in suspense. Like, he already kind of ruled out Benavidez, and Suleiman came out with the proposition of Benavidez fighting Vodzik. I don't know how to pronounce his name, for the interim 175 title. But I want to get off of that. I want to talk about boxing's got bigger problems than one or two. Like so the May 4th date and whatever's going to happen the second or third week of September this calendar year. What about all the other dates? I'm still upset about we had 2 ESPN cards that were on a weekday, which I liked. I don't like waiting until Saturday night to watch boxing because one is going to be at 1 a.m. by the time the main event gets into the ring. But the Thursday cards on ESPN, both of them were kind of subpar cards. I think it was Shakur Stevenson and De Los Santos, and the other one was Teofimo Lopez and Jermaine Ortiz. More than Canelo doing anything, I want to see the times moved up earlier. Make it more realistic. Make it so that people will actually sit down and watch instead of putting it all on one person to attract audiences. Set it up in a way that there's a schedule, people can follow it. Have multiple big cards a year. Stop this whole, what other sport needs the constant proclamation of, oh, this is the face of our sport. This is the face of our sport. I think Canelo already gave me he gave me a lot of the fights that I already wanted to see. I'm not gonna watch a Jermall Charlo fight, but the sport's got way more problems than whatever the quote unquote face of the sport does. It's got who's gonna ask Mauricio Suleiman, a credible journalist, a credible you see how Stephen A. Smith kind of he never grilled Canelo, but he brought it up I think he's scared of Benavidez, whatever. Okay, the same Stephen A. Smith on the same platform. Why don't you ask a commissioner why a Jermall Charlo still has a championship and why a Bronco can't fight for the championship and why is all of it put on the fighter? One fighter get this proclamation face of no other sport does this. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, the NBA. The commissioner has his favorite, Adam Silver, I think the next guy that they're trying to push, it doesn't seem like it's Victor Wembanyama. Every sport has an iconic star, but this constant need, the face of boxing, face of boxing, face of boxing. The sport's got way more problems than whatever the face of the quote-unquote face of it does.
Fernando, you bring up a salient point there because, and look, listen, if Canelo's going to stay in boxing, like Jimmy said, if he's going to stay in boxing, he's not going to fight Benavidez, that's a bad move because then no matter who you are...
Right, but he only gives me 2 dates a year. Let me finish. 2 dates a year.
Right. But let me just say this, because the A side isn't invincible or immune to bad fights. If he starts fighting bad fights, eventually you're going to start seeing that affect his box office appeal. So that's number one. Number two, you bring up a salient point though about how people, Canelo should fight. First of all, people have said they're not even Canelo fans, but they're still criticizing his picks. But why should you? At some point you should stop watching the guy fight if you don't really care about him. A case in point, when he fought Rocky Fielding and Yildirim, I didn't even watch those fights live because I wasn't going to waste my time watching them.
Hold on, B-Day. Hold on. I didn't mind those because he was so active, and I didn't pay for those fights. I had the zone for the year that year.
I agree.
So I didn't
but
mind.
My point is that these people should, if they really dislike the fights that Canelo's taking, just don't pay for them. Stop watching them. Stop paying attention to him. Because, like you said, I'm also trying to rally against and trying to bring up some of these causes that you mentioned about. Boxing's got bigger problems than not to say that Canelo. If Canelo continues staying in boxing for another 5 years, he never fights Benavidez, and Benavidez stays at 168, then of course that's a problem. But my thing is this: we're seeing now an epidemic of fighters weighing in 36 hours before the fight. That's not how it used to be. People love to say, oh, well, if a guy shows up a fight night and weighs 30 pounds more than the actual weight the fight's taking place in, that's okay because that's the rules. That's the game. Okay, but now they're changing
You know
the
where
game.
boxing got that from? You know where boxing got that from? From the UFC.
Yeah, I suspected that, yeah. So that's my point is they're changing the rules right from under our noses. It's a slow boil. And people just go with it. Same thing that happened when the WBO started gaining recognition as one of the 4 major belts. And now you got these fucking people going, undisputed in the 4-belt era. The networks run with it too. That's hurting boxing. But it's easier to criticize at the A side because, again, that's what brings in numbers. That's what brings in that social mobility in the digital world to keep driving these pages and these networks. But it's at some point, there's bigger problems, man. Again, I'm not saying if you really feel that Canelo's dodging the guy, make a cogent argument for it. But then at the same time, when you're ignoring, and I'm talking about these people, they're ignoring the other myriad of problems, I got to start questioning how invested these people really are in boxing or whether they're just semi-casuals. So you bring up a good point there, Fernando. I got to give it to you right there, man. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
Yeah, so one last thing for a lot of people that's like they're extremists when they follow the sport and they have a loyalty to a promotional company and they're not well aware of what goes on behind the scenes. A lot of these promoters, they naturally hate each other, but they don't hate each other as intensely as the different factions of fandom in boxing hate each other. I think it was sometime this week I got a little bit curious about Pro Box TV. I know they acquired the BoxingScene.com. They cleaned up a lot of I think before what Boxing Scene used to do was they'd take one interview, break it up into like 5 article titles and keep circulating that through the week, and it was oversaturated with the way they were doing it. Anyway, if you look at Pro Box TV and you go on the management website, some of the fighters on Pro Box TV management, they do cooperative business with PBC. Right, like promoters work with each other. It's not listen, if these guys just educated themselves on the real world just a little bit, you'd understand boxing a lot more than only trying to just look through the world from a boxing point of view. It's not that polarized. It's not like all this crazy stuff you see on Twitter. Like these executives don't intensely hate each other like that. These promoters, these managers, like you just see what you see, and like these fans are crazy, man. They're ruining their lives because at the end of the day, if something makes business sense, 2 promoters will get together or fighters will get together. Like 2 fighters that you think hate each other, they'll get together to do business, but this toxic fan base, man, you guys are gonna pop a blood vessel or something because it's like Arrested Development. Like a lot of these guys are adults and they're talking like kids.
Yeah, hopefully that's just an act that they have on, because I mean the same persona that I show here on the BDA show is not exactly the urbane, sophisticated side that I really have in everyday life. You know what I mean? Here I play it up a little bit more, I exaggerate my facetious side, but yeah, you do have some people who lose their shit, and again, I hope that's an act.
My last thing, BD, is like, I lived in New York, and people know when there's a big fight going on. And this used to be a place where there was like a lot of boxing gyms, and you had fighters on the local scene, which there still is. But nobody really talks about boxing like that. Like there's they'll talk. Like I go to a Yankee game, and I'll see like 3 generations of people there. You'll see like a grandfather, father, son. I'm watching boxing. The main event's at like 1 a.m. Everybody around me is asleep most of the time. Like it doesn't matter if it's a party going on, because it's a fight party and not a regular party. Some people start leaving early. Some people start they're half asleep. So, like, I watch boxing, but in the real world, I'm like an anomaly. Like, people will watch it if it's a big event or something, but it's like this rabid fan base. I just don't see them outside, and I go a lot of places.
Well, the good thing is that boxing. The positive thing is always that boxing is still remains an international sport. So maybe in the United States it's going through a harsher patch than it is in other places.
And Japan is doing their thing. I think Eddie did a card in Mexico. So listen, I like to spread out dates. Yeah, Canelo, he's got the May date and the September date, but I'm more worried about the other dates, and I'm more worried about entertaining events. Like I don't like whatever the hell Teofimo and Jermaine Ortiz. Like what the hell was that?
I mean, hey, listen.
I'm ashamed now. I'm ashamed to invite people to things or tell people like, "Hey, let's watch the fight." Because then if it's a dud, you're the butt of the joke now. Like if the event's a dud, like I can't believe you wasted my time for this. So anyway, BDA, that's my take on everything. And
all right,
it is what it is.
Well, thank you for your call, Fernando. Great point. Something you brought up that whole thing there about the people focusing or ignoring some of the more pressing concerns that we have in boxing. Let's go to another phone call here. Hey, don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit that like. It really helps us out. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to the wild card line. The wild card line, 111. 111, you're on the air. No, they hung up as soon as I hit that call. All right, let's go to the phone call. Let's go to 336. 336, you're on the air. 336, what's on your mind?
Yo, what's up? I'm going to make it pretty quick about the Canelo shit because I don't really care that much about it. Mirage and I were right. It was a fantasy fight, and I knew it would never happen. So I kept telling you guys for months, you're telling me things that Canelo himself isn't telling me, and that's kind of what happened. So now you guys got to take that for what it is. The reality is Jose Benavidez Sr. said multiple times, we just want the opportunity. Canelo gave Benavidez a lowball $5 million offer. He accepted, and then Canelo did not come to terms on his end because he thought Benavidez would reject the offer, which did not happen. So Benavidez took a guarantee lower than Jermell Charlo and Caleb Plant to fight Canelo Alvarez, and Canelo backed out of his position. The $50-60 million deal, whatever it was a legitimate deal. Steven Espinoza said that is a legitimate deal that the PBC backs. So this is how it is, and this was whenever Canelo was building up to the Jermell Charlo fight. He said that is a legitimate deal. It's a deal that we can make. And Canelo just doesn't want to fight the guy. He does.
Keyword, we could
fight
make
for him financially and for his legacy. And you can cry about it if he wants to, but Benavidez is the consistent number. Has been consistently dominant. He's the best, fighter in the division. In my opinion, he completely destroys Canelo, and you guys know it, and I know it. So that's the reality of the situation. Canelo's ducking Benavidez. It's going to stay that way. The fight will never happen. It's a fantasy fight. Now, going. Hey,
hold on. Jimmy wants to address that point. Jimmy, go ahead. I think you wanted to.
Well, now, are you talking about the old $50 million offer from last year, or this latest fairy tale that?
Still $50 million.
But he took it down, and Espinoza.
No,
Espinoza wouldn't have any insight on that because he's not even a part of the organization. He's a consultant. You know what I mean? And what he did, what he is actually doing is somebody trying to find the funding. So what's probably going on is Canelo needs that money in escrow. And I want to see the Benavidez fight. But if that money is in an escrow, Canelo's not going to fight him. So the money going to Benavidez is kind of irrelevant because it's all conducive if the money's in escrow or not.
But why would he sign with the PSD or the PBC if they have issue collecting funds? It doesn't make sense to me. It's the biggest fight in boxing financially.
He signed with them when they were with Showtime. He signed that contract when they were still with Showtime.
But
and they never had any indication it wasn't.
There's no way he wouldn't have known. There's no way he wouldn't have known.
but nobody knew. I mean, everybody had their sneaking suspicions, but at the time they announced that deal, the 3-fight deal, he was, that was back when they were still putting on, Spence
it was being
Crawford over on
tweeted about for
Showtime. They were the
last 2
greatest year
years.
they've had, you know what I mean? But my
You know
point
what,
is, he
Jimmy?
signed the deal with
I guess.
Showtime.
Jimmy, that's why I got to give it up to Crawford, because he wanted to see the books. Remember that during the first round of negotiations with the PBC, and they said no, because, and that's what I guess Canelo, for all his supposed business savvy, overlooked it. I don't know who's advising him. Maybe he should look for somebody else.
And he can always
anyway,
just leave the PBC, but whatever. Anyways, now that I'm done with the Canelo fiasco, because I don't care. Like I said, the fight's not going to happen. And the reason people, the last caller said some shit about how, why is it all on one guy to carry the sport? It's not about him having to carry the sport. It's just about making the best fight in the division. Every fighter, every champion, right? If you're the consensus lineal guy, you should be doing everything you can to fight the best competition available. Like if Teofimo fights Subaru Matias next, nobody's going to say he's fucking... I mean, of course, you're going to have the black say he's done.
Hold on, you said you got... Hold on, Dora, we're limited time. Get to the other point. Sorry, I got to interrupt you. You got to get to the other point, because you said you didn't care, and then you went back to Canelo.
What I'm saying is, all right, yeah. So what I'm saying is, real fight fans want to see the best fights in the division, right? And they want to see the best fight, the best. And if that doesn't happen, they're going to get pissed off. And it's been too long now where this fight could have happened and hasn't happened. So it's just not going to happen. So I'm done with that. It is what it is. Mirage is right. So, and then now, going into the Japanese card, Tanaka is... I actually had him on my pound-for-pound list towards the lower end, because even though he is a 4-weight world champion, his resume is still good, but it's not like crazy elite. And the first time he stepped up to the elite, like Hall of Fame, pound-for-pound-esque kind of level, he did get knocked out. So I have him at number 10, and I have Junto Nakatani now at number 7, because he knocked out Santiago. And I thought maybe he'd stop him late, but I thought Santiago was durable enough to maybe survive. There is one thing that people kind of do overlook with Junto, and that's his, he can't fight very well on the inside. Now, he's good at timing people if they try and come in, and he can, throw left uppercuts to the body. But Takuma Inoue is a decent inside fighter, really, and he can roll very well with these punches and slip them. And you saw that in his fight with Ancajas. So I know the odds maker is going to have Junto as probably like a 5-6-1 favorite, but I actually see this as a 50-50 fight, and it's a great fight in the division. And then going into next week, we have Komatov versus Ford, and the Japanese dude versus Venado. Venado could get outboxed in that fight. I'm picking Venado to still win, but I think he could have real problems with this guy, because the Japanese fighter, he fights like a crip. I don't know why I can't remember his name, but I've seen highlights of him, and he fights like a crip, a back foot crip. So we're going to see how that goes. But with the Komatov-Ford fight, I mean, I got Komatov by, 9th, 10th round stoppage. Raymond Ford has gotten 2 gift decisions in his career. He's not that good. He really isn't that good, and I think he's going to get destroyed. And the only way... I was looking at the odds makers in that fight, and they have Raymond Ford having a higher chance to win the decision than Komatov, so you know what that means. If Raymond Ford was able to eke 4, maybe 5 rounds, he's going to get the gift. So Komatov's going to have to go in there and knock him out or win 10 rounds to barely eke out a decision. So, yeah, he's another Romero bum black hype job, so I hope he gets his fucking teeth punched in, because he's been carried his entire career by corruption. And yeah, that's all I had to say on that. So I have Junto and Kosei in my pound-for-pound list now. So.
All right. Well, listen, thank you for your call. Call back next time. Take it easy out there.
Yep.
All right. We got to move on here to another phone call. Fellas, don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. Let's go to 301. 301. You're on the air. 301. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, BDA? Yeah, I'm going to just briefly say in the Canelo situation, it's not really of much interest to me who he fights next, because if you look at that division, there are lots of these undefeated young fighters, which is what I really want to see. If you want to build a superstar, you got to have compelling fights before you're 27, and that's becoming rare these days. I mean, you got, just off the top of my head, you got Munguia, Bekdemir, Berlanga, Lone Richards, Mvili, Benavidez, and Morel, right? And probably many others. And there's some guys like Gongora who you could build a name off of. They're just not fighting anyone. So I'd rather see them actually build a profile before just fighting Canelo. Because even if they beat him, right, they're not going to become a star. Triple G's going to become a star after he beat Canelo. I mean, to everyone's eyes. And he knocked him out, it probably would have just been he was too small or whatever. But it's neither here nor there. whoever he fights, like whatever. But I was really impressed by Nakatani, I have to say. I don't know if you caught this, but he stopped Santiago in the 6th. But in the 5th round, right at the end there, he caught him with this little, like, shovel hook to his liver that you could see made him buckle. Like, I think it was right before the bell, like maybe 20 seconds before. And then I saw, he's sitting in his corner, he's, like, kind of calm, and he's, like, talking to his trainers. I mean, obviously, you know, I don't speak anime, so I don't know what they're talking about, but, like, he starts to nod, like he has, like, a different method in mind. And you watch him, he comes out on his toes. He's really, like, moving a lot more, taking angles, more like swiping with that jab, whereas before, he was on his back foot, just kind of touching him with a jab, kind of probing, fencing. But then he came out with, like, this purpose taken angle. And if you saw the way he landed that left hand, the straight left hand down the middle, he took a step to his right, you know, and like kind of caught him with this weird cadence. It was like a very nice angle he took. So I like that in his development because he's becoming much more of like a sniper, much more assertive, you know, like when he needs to go for it. He has different styles, different tools in his belt. He can fight on the inside, fight on the outside. He's active. Hopefully he remains active because he's only 26 and he has the frame to fight like at 130. So the fighter I'm very excited to see and throughout his career. So there's hope for boxing yet.
What about things in the future for Nakatani in terms of talking to his representatives, maybe talking about his future?
Down the line?
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah, what's down the line for Nakatani? Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like they're all those fighters down the line, like Tank Davis, you know, if it makes sense. You know, why doesn't he just move up 5 divisions and fight Tank Davis?
There's a lot of things down the line, right?
With a rehydration clause just on him. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually crazy, though, that on the Tank Davis thing, like, it was only Ryan Garcia that had the rehydration clause, right? Like, Davis could weigh in at whatever. Well, I understand he weighs more than 145 when he fights. So, well, what the fuck?
If I remember correctly, he had to abide by the rehydration and catch weight as well, but the fact that he's the one that brought it up against Barrios... Yeah, he's the one that brought it up against Barrios and Garcia, which he's not doing it for the fun of it. It's because he knows it's going to hurt his opponent more than it hurts him. So, yeah, I mean, that's, you know, there's a lot of things down the line for him as well. But, you know, he's got to go back, talk to his team.
Yeah.
You know, it's a hard camp and all that. So
there are a lot of court cases down the line for him. There are a lot of court appearances.
Come on. No,
a lot of hit and runs, a lot of disorderly conduct, all kinds of exciting things down the line, twerking with like his fat dripping out of his underwear and his boxers or whatever.
Oh my
God. I gotta say, like, that's like most of the appeal of these guys is their antics. Like, I mean, their careers are just so stymied. Like, he's fighting Frank the Ghost Martin. He gets that nickname because no one knows who he is. He disappears in the ring. He disappears. You forget about him while he's fighting.
Well, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, Irish Andrew Ward.
I think someone posted. I think someone posted in the Discord that was it Gary Russell Jr. is in talks to fight Stephen Fulton. Whoever wins gets a year layoff or a 2-year layoff or whatever. So, last thing is down the line for them too.
That's the reward.
That's funny.
And yeah, a little downtime is their reward.
Yeah.
All right, well, it's Irish Andrew Ward, man. Thank you for your call.
You gotta go back, talk to your team. You know, after these camps are so long, you know, you gotta heal the body. You gotta get your mind ready. You gotta meditate, like Teofimo Lopez. You gotta meditating and manifesting and all this other shit. You know.
Yeah, you gotta get a private detective to track down.
Podcast culture. It's like you give people who can't speak like 4 sentences. They have to fill 2 hours of a podcast. And so they're always talking about, oh, my mind is so strong. You know, it's all mental, man. You know, my mind is so strong.
Yeah, their mind is so strong. Their mind is so strong. Meanwhile, they have to go on fucking Twitter and rail against every other fan that dresses them in the wrong fashion. Yeah, they're very strong mentally, man, that's for sure. All right, man.
And then retire every time they have a mental health crisis.
Exactly.
So a lot of things down the line.
A lot of things on the line.
Okay, BJ, have a good Sunday.
You too, man. Thank you for your call, man. All right, let's go to another phone call here. A lot of things on the line. Got to go back to my team. It's been a hard camp. All right, let's go to 510. 510, you're on the air. 510, what's on your mind?
Hey, BD, you gonna let me defend myself or not?
Excuse me?
I said you're gonna let me defend myself or not?
Well, it depends. What happened? Break it down.
What do you mean break it down, dude?
Wait a minute. Is this booty juice again?
Is this? Yeah, you stupid fuck. Yeah, it's me. Who the fuck else is it gonna be, dude?
Well, I don't know. How about the 20 other callers we have? What happened now? What's sticking in your craw now?
Okay. Nah, I mean, I hear all the people talking shit. It is what it is, but I was just going to ask you formally, because, again, you love doing this whole, like, while I'm on the line, like, you kind of say one thing, and then there's obviously, like how you mentioned the Marquez list, supposedly that, Marquez was saying, because you always try to, like, put people in together. I understand it's like a Jew tactic. That you love doing here, and even though he fought like those guys again, look when he fought Mosley or fucking even before that Lara or fucking Josecito Lopez, dude, he put a rehydration clause on them, and he made them go up 2 weight classes. So for you, that's the quality of the win. Why is it that when you speak of the quality of the wins, right, you always criticize? And again, I don't like these crispy motherfuckers. I don't like Gervonta Tank Davis. I don't give a fuck about Devin Haney. I don't give a fuck about Shakur Stevenson. But when you criticize them, you guys always bring this up. Oh, well, this guy has a rehydration clause. Oh, well, this guy's gone up in weight. And I understand, look, comparatively, obviously, the lists don't match up. One side is clearly Tank Davis is like fighting lesser competition. But once again, dude, why not keep it consistent, man? Why not keep it consistent? Because, again, you bring up the list and you talk about it when I'm offline. And I just explain to you why the fuck it's not a good fight. Or even when he fought Mosley. He fought him at 40 years old. He fought him after he got knocked out twice.
Well, when did I say, okay, you're going, you're going into a diatribe. I'm about to stop you before you go on a diatribe, because I can see you're revving the engine up. Number one, I never said the Mosley fight was a good fight. I mentioned what Juan Manuel Marquez, who's a staunch Canelo critic, said. Hold on, I let you talk. I let you shoot your spiel for about 10 minutes. Now you interrupting me. What I said was,
it's not even been 10 minutes.
All right, you know what? You talk. You talk. Get out of your system, and then we'll move on, because we got other callers. I can't go back and forth with you. So
no,
go ahead.
You talk. Look, I just don't understand why you disagree with having a dialogue. You have the dialogue with other people. You talk to other people. But when you talk about Canelo Alvarez, you can't have a conversation.
I did have the conversation. And I'm being fairly charitable. I'm not
saying stupid shit. I'm not saying Demetrius Andrade is the greatest of all time. I'm not saying that David Benavidez is a Mexican monster. He's a Mexican wannabe. That's all the guy's ever going to be. He's a fucking hype job weight bully. I'm not one of those dudes. So I don't understand why you come here, right? And yeah, people talk shit, whatever. But why don't you just give me a fair shot or a fair chance to explain my shit and actually digest the information that I'm talking about or that I'm trying to express?
I'm going to give you some advice before we go. Playing the victim card can only get you so far. That's all I'm going to say. There's no place for that.
Victim,
there's
guy.
no
Nobody's
place for
that. No, who the
on
fuck
the
is
true
the
path of the Crimson Cross. There's no such thing as victims or predators. There's only holy people who are on the path of true spiritual ascension. So all I'm saying is you got to get your head out of that. You gotta get your head out of that mentality. Oh, woe is me. BDA is against me. He's not giving me a fair shake. This is your second call. This is your second call. This is your second call. I let you talk for 5 minutes. Then as soon as I start talking, you interrupt me. You know what? If I were so inclined, I could play the victim card, but I choose not to, because again, when the light of the true path of the Crimson Cross shines upon you, you really don't have time for these type of frivolities. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, listen, Booty Juice, we got to move on.
Who cares?
I'll let you shoot your spiel in the next call. Thank you for your call. Enjoy your Sunday, right, man? Take it easy out there.
What shit?
All right. Let's go. Hey, don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really appreciate it, especially on this most holy of Sundays. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 562. 562, you're on the air. 562, what's on your mind?
Yo, is this the BDA show?
Excuse me? Yes, you're on the BDA show, yes.
Yes, Mr. BDA. I don't want to talk about Canelo, but I want to talk about him. Is this like a thing we're saying here?
Oh, no.
But yeah, it's Frank BDA. Thank you for having me on. just kind of wanted to touch on a couple things. Canelo's probably the only fighter that has control of his career. And what's one of the things that they idolized was Floyd Mayweather, right? What did he always say? He always said fighters need to take control of their career, and this man has done it. Agree or not?
I agree.
Most fighters would love to be in Canelo's position. And here's what I mean. Canelo's not going to be antagonized to take a fight like Dudu went to his presser. You know what I mean? And you see guys like Teofimo get called out by Keisha Davis, and Navarrete was getting called out by Shakira. And those, you got guys trying to antagonize them into a fight. You understand what I mean?
Right. Well, you know what it seems like to me? It seems
so,
like
Canelo, go ahead.
Based on what you're saying, it seems like you're saying is that he's like a Mexican street vendor who's refusing to be intimidated. He will no longer be intimidated. He's putting his foot down. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? He's
taking control of his career. Because non-ticket sellers, guys who can't sell shit, will come and they want the payday. You see what I'm saying? And it's like what Keisha Davis is trying to do to Tio. And Tio's not in a position where he really has control of his career. You've heard these guys bitch and moan and cry about it. Navarrete, they were trying to feed Navarrete to Shakira. And after that bad performance, his manager was like, no, fuck that. We're not going to let you. We're a ticket seller. We do very well. We make money. We're not going to let you feed us to that motherfucker. You see what I'm saying? So Canelo's in that righteous air where he has. You had credible people that know him. Roberto Diaz was a matchmaker. Abel Sanchez worked against Canelo, and they say he ducks nobody. These are credible people. These are not these Looney Tune callers that call in and call him a dust. These are people that work with him. They say he's really that dude. He fights everybody.
Well, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, boxing is a form of entertainment, and around that aura, it creates a spirit of people who love to complain. I mean, I've done my share of complaining too, but it's just my complaining is backed up by I mean, it's not just complaining for the sake of complaining. Well, it's if I see something that really merits it, I want to change. Yeah.
The problem is what I see is you got all these supposed these guys are contract lawyers and they know what's really going on in these negotiations. To me, it would seem like Canelo, if anybody's turning the screws, it's Canelo turning the screws on Al Heyman. I said this before. I said, you think he just walked in and signed some willy-nilly contract that they could strong arm him into a fight? Like, does that make sense to anybody? Or like I heard you say, does Canelo have a team of lawyers that comb through every clause and subheading to so they can't strong arm him or put him in a bad position? So the man has earned the right. And when we want all the fights, I'll just finish up with the last point. As a Canelo fan, we want Crawford, we want Berlanga, we want Charlo. He wants everybody, right? But there can only be one. And here's the problem. And I'll just finish up with this last point. These are all great fights. Crawford, Berlanga, Munguia. I mean, we could have 3 years worth of great fights, but you have these weirdo fans. They're discrediting all these good fighters. Like, I don't get it. Do you love boxing? Do you want to see good fights? Or you want to be these people? I don't want to talk about Canelo, and they go on rants in your chat and call in about these lunatic 20-minute rants. Like, do you want to see all these good fights or not? So I'll just end with that, BDA. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Frank. Thank you. Take it easy out there, man. Thank you for your call. All right, yeah. We try to give everybody a voice. That's what we try to do here, but we also have limited time. That's why we don't usually, unless it's something particularly interesting, where we go back and forth. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 917. 917, you're on the air. 917, what's on your mind? 917, you're on the air. 917. Going once. Hung up. All right, let's go to another phone call. Let's go to 805. 805, you're on the air. 805, what's on your mind?
Black TV in the house.
Come on. How are you going to throw Chibi under the bus?
Nah,
Chibi's never done anything.
What's the topic?
What's the topic?
What's the topic?
I mean, the topic is whatever you want it to be, caller.
I wanted to talk about the what's that guy? Anyways,
it's a mock, isn't it?
The guy that fought was they fighting?
On Friday.
I heard people considering him pound for pound, and I thought it was interesting because when you see the highlight, you can't really see clearly, but he ends up landing a low blow, and on the second when he goes for the body the second time, he landed a partial low blow.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Anybody notice that, or?
I didn't see it. I'd have to rewatch it.
Yeah, go rewatch that. It's kind of hard to determine because of the angle, and you only get to see it from his back. But you could, cause I seen it from a fan's perspective, and I got to see the low blow. The first body punch was a low blow.
I'm gonna have to rewatch it, man.
And then I thought that was I thought that was interesting because hint, cough, cough. I'm calling out all you Usyk fans out there. Where's the same standard for this guy?
That's a good point. What somebody got besmirched, and there's an injustice. I think we should look into it. I'm gonna look into it. How about that?
Yeah. I thought it was like a controversial because he lands a low blow, and then the second shot looks like a partial low blow.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, man. I'll have to rewatch it.
All right,
that's it. Amak, we kind of lost steam there at the end there with the phone call.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm kind of like multitasking. Yeah, that's all I got to say. Just make it quick and short.
Hey, listen, I'll look into it just for you. I'll look into it, Amak, just for you, because I'm not one to let injustices go unanswered. That's not what's especially on a Sunday. It's about doing a good deed, and I guess that's going to be my good deed for the day. Thank you for bringing that to our attention there, Amak.
All right, I appreciate it, Mr. BDA.
Thank you, Amak. Thank you, man. Take it easy out there. All right. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit that like. It really helps us out. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 347. 347, you're on the air. 347, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up? Mr. BDA. It's NPR. How you guys feeling today?
NPR, what's going on, man?
Yeah, so just going back to the guy who called from New York. You said he was in New York and they used to have local boxing clubs. That's true. But the thing is that why we're not seeing better fights among the masses, and in other words, there isn't a deepest pool as there used to be. As the working class died, the working class has been dying off as a cultural and economic driver for decades. So, and this is a very working class sport. So you may see in the future as everything is vertically integrated now. So there used to be local promoters out of local boxing gyms. So Detroit used to have fighters and Philly had a fighter. It doesn't mean anything to say you're a Philly fighter anymore. Mm-hmm. As you notice the same thing in basketball, whereas is that they used to have certain styles that were regional, and so Boston played like Boston for decades. Detroit played like Detroit for decades. And the West Coast LA was always a little glam. It was always that way. Well, now everybody plays in this kind of monochromatic way, and the same thing is happening in boxing. So stylistically, you're not seeing the kind of deep base and deep pool, and that's because the working class and on the lower rungs of boxing promotion just isn't worth it. It's just not worth it to do. You can't cover insurance costs to put on a local show. You used to be able to do that. They don't have that anymore. There are no local. The Catholics built boxing clubs all over the country. There are no of that. It's a glam sport now, and so you don't have this deep pool because of the death of the working class. You don't have the deep pool of journeymen. Why get your face punched in when you can just be a transit worker, right? You used to have deep pools of guys that were fighters, and so you used to have club fighters and journeymen that these guys used to go through. So back in the day, I'll give you great, for instance, and memory lane, you had Tuesday night fights and Friday night fights, and we were seeing that's the first time the local was actually broadcast on the national stage or semi-national stage. Well, that doesn't exist anymore. It's just not worth it. You'll do it at a loss if you're a local promoter. So the pools aren't that deep, except at the top. There's a live jam.
Well, that's the big problem too. This is what I was trying to get at with Fernando from, or I think somebody else as well. I forget, but with the Haney Garcia situation, where for some reason Garcia is invested in doing it in Las Vegas, and in Vegas it's good for the promoters because they get these big side fees, but it certainly hurts the ability to generate or to ferment or to create a grassroots support from a fighter. Also, the other thing with the Catholic gyms is, I got it on good authority, one of the big reasons why they died is because nobody wanted to be working the speedball while you had a priest in between your legs working your speed back, if you know what I mean. But going back to the Las Vegas thing, Las Vegas, listen, man.
Of course.
In the United States, yes, we have that problem where local support is waning. The good news is that other countries around the world, they're still being able to. England certainly has no problem generating fans. Same thing in Mexico. Certain parts of South America are able to get support as well. So it's really, this does seem to be a problem that's concentrated in the United States.
Well, I would say I would agree with that at the moment, right? Well, that's what we're dealing with is at the moment. But what I would say is the following. As Mexico becomes more wealthy and everything there becomes more vertically integrated, remember, their farmers were basically put out of business with NAFTA in the 90s. So the lower rungs, the guys coming from the tool and die shops and the car mechanics and those guys, they're going to disappear as Mexico becomes more wealthy. Mexico is not a third world country anymore. Mexico is a second world country in certain aspects and a first world country in places like Mexico City. Right? So as they become wealthier, you're going to see it die off, and you'll see this increased corporatization of everything. See, a local promoter, let me just give you a good example here. A local promoter used to be able to put on a show locally and make money. Well, that job as a local promoter doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
It's Bob Arum or nothing. It's Top Rank or nothing. It's PBC or nothing. And so these guys used to be able to have access, and they would pay a fee, and it made sense for them to hook up to a satellite, right? It doesn't even make sense to do that. They have no access to it. Bob Arum is in bed with the giant corporation who's invested with the guys that are the investors, banks, the guys in local, international politicians. They'll just squeeze the life out of any little guy. They say, you're not going to be able to get insurance to put up a fight at that, this little arena there. So you're not even going to make any money anymore. You can't make any money locally anymore. It's international or nothing, national or nothing.
Oh, and
so as I say, what I believe is going to happen is in Mexico, as it gets richer, it's gonna. I'm not saying it's going to disappear, but what I would say is that for the local guys, the good journeyman fighters, the club fighters, the competition will be all piled up at the top. And that on the local scene, it will die. And it's the same. It's going to happen as other countries get wealthier.
That's a great point, man, because Mexico also has always been the backbone, too, of providing this type of journeyman that you mentioned. The Top Rank has made a career out of doing that. Sure. Where they can import these Mexicans journeymans and feed them to their prospects. And you're right, man. I mean, look, the whole vertical integration thing, squeezing out the life and soul out of some media properties or media outlets, that's just that's a history of mass communication. In fact, even YouTube, you've been seeing sucking of its soul ever since 2016, where they changed the algorithm and they started curtailing free speech. So that's the nature of the game. And you're also seeing it in boxing in a way. And then on top of that, look at the Saudis. The Saudis now, they're starting to put in their money for the moment. Sure. But you got to travel all the way over there. There's no fans over there. They're no longer cultivating a local fan. So things are going to continue. It might die, boxing, or it might just change into something else along with technology and, like you said, the economic factors due to globalization. But we'll see what happens, man. But you're right. It might not change for the better. That's for sure.
One other thing, ready? So to all the guys in the chat right now, remember, if you call me what the Zodiac anymore, you just might find one part of your finger in one part of the country and a foot in another. Okay.
Wait a minute.
Anyway, gentlemen, take care. God bless. Say hi to Jimmy if he's there. Is Jimmy there?
Absolutely, he's here right now. Well,
What's up, Jimmy? How you doing, brother?
What's going on? What are people calling you, the Zodiac?
Oh, good, man.
Is that what you said?
They call me the Zodiac, which I think is fucking hilarious, by the way.
Oh, Jesus.
It's hilarious. Anyway,
Well, you have a good weekend. Good
God
call,
bless,
man.
fellas. See you later.
All right. Thank you, NPR. Thank you for your call, man. Take it easy out there. All right. That was NPR right there. But he brought up a good point, Jimmy. Because first of all, let me read a couple of super chats here. Real quick. Hold on. Where are we at? Because I was waiting to end the calls before I got to this. A shout out to Chris K for his contribution with the super chat. He says, I'm an undefeated American, 0-0. I'll take a payday. Yeah, well, there you go. Chris K throwing his hat in the race. Shout out to him. Billy Hoyle in the Pimps, shout out to him, says, Canelo versus Munguia pay-per-view requires Mr. BDA's and Jimmy to wear a tuxedo and replace Jimmy Lennon Jr. So he yells, Viva Wakanda Cabrones in a Las Vegas VMC for life. Ah, come on. Yeah, what am I going to be saying Wakanda for? It's VMC, man, at the very least. Or VMC could Viva Mexico Cabrones, or it could be Viva, I don't know what the M I could replace for. It could be Canada at the end. I don't know. Dual citizenship. Shout out to the Quacks for his contribution with the super chat. Or actually, he reestablished his membership program. He says, the books, you imagine the PBC turning over its finances? I bet it looks like Iraq bombed out and depleted. Oh, come on. He's comparing the Iraqi desolation to with the PBC books right there. But shout out to those guys. Thank you for your contributions. Jimmy, what about that? NPR brought up a good point about, he said back in, like, for example, one of the big guys you were big on, rather, is Myron Hagler. He didn't get an opportunity until late in his career, but in the meantime, he did make his bones in the Philly Wars. Nowadays, you hear Philadelphia, it still has that, Philly fighter, but it doesn't seem to have the same resonance anymore. Because what's the Philly boxing like before you used to have, New England, New York, Vegas, California. You used to have these parts of boxing. It just seems like everything's become centralized to Vegas and maybe New York. Or California, rather, as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mr. BDA, where the sport's going here, it's dying out. I mean, listen, the lifeblood of boxing, a lifeblood of any sport, it's feeder system. You know what I mean? Like Major League Baseball has all the different AAA, AA ball, and everything. That's where it comes from. But when you have them dropping American, if someone would have said this, I just picture going back in time machine in 1988 or 84 Olympics, and them saying someday, within 30 years, they're going to drop boxing from the Olympics. People would have just laughed in your face and said, okay, dude, get medicated and call someone, because that's just crazy, because it was by far the biggest event in the U.S. in sports in general. Mm-hmm. That's how big the Olympics used to be. Like, they would have 20 million, 25 million people watching those boxing events back in the day. Now, if the Olympics even have it's 2:00 in the morning, you get a fucking 500,000 people watching. And it's so the thing is, the sport can't survive in the United States the way we remember if the feeder system is broken. If you don't even there's no incentive for kids anymore. Like, to call yourself, when I was a teenager, it would be, I'll tell you the equivalence. When you saw a kid walking around with the New England Golden Gloves championship jacket, that was like, wow, that would be like a fucking general in the army being seen at the, walking on some, Fort Devens or some different army base. To see somebody with a nationals, like winning the national champion, Golden Glove national champion, that's like the equivalent to the Congressional Medal of Honor. It would be like, wow, holy shit, man, he's a national champ. Nowadays, a kid walking around a national champ, what's that? AAU or boxing? Oh, no shit, they still do that. It's like, it's sad. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. Nobody knows anymore. Like, you were a local celebrity. Like, Mickey was already a celebrity within Lowell because Lowell was such a boxing town. He won the Golden Gloves. He won the New Englands. He didn't win the Nationals, but he won the New England. So, that was like you had your own little celebrity just being an amateur. Those days are gone. I mean, they dropped it from the Olympics.
Yeah.
I mean, no use even watching it now for me, as far as I'm concerned. And it's not just the U.S. Didn't they drop boxing in general right across the board?
Yeah. Yeah. The Olympics. Yeah. When the Olympics drop boxing, that means all over the place. Yeah. It's no longer. From what I understand, there's no more boxing in the Olympics.
So that means that the quality going forward is going to be trash, because the whole thing was. You fight to become an Olympic champion, or you fight to become a national champion. You know what I mean? And if the incentive is gone, now you're going to be having kids turning pro at 18, learning how to become a professional boxer, or even learning how to, handle themselves in the ring. All those times, you would learn in the amateurs. Like, if you saw a kid as a professional fighter, for instance, back in the 80s, 90s, or any time back then, and they said he only has 70 amateur fights, you're like, holy shit, what the fuck is he turning pro? Like, I remember Ouchie, the guy who trained me as a kid, Ouchie McGinnis, he used to say, you need a minimum of 200 amateur fights before you turn pro, or they're going to fucking work you like a $3 hooker. That's what he used to say all the time. You need at least 200 of them. That's unheard of nowadays. And that's why the quality of boxing sucks. We have Teofimo Lopez doesn't know how to cut a ring off. And he calls himself the fucking uniform, just...
That's the thing, though. It's somebody saying that Quinn Lesser says that it's going to be in 2028. That's when they're getting rid of boxing. But even in the United States, look, this didn't happen overnight. It's been the last gold medalist, or male gold medalist, was Andre Ward, 2004. So we're 20 years later, and we still haven't had. Please don't give me Clarissa Shields. I'm talking about a male boxer. The best they've had was silver medalists. Other than that, no gold medalists. So it's been a slow decline too. A lot of fighters now, especially nowadays, we're in the new era. These prospects that are coming up are going to get titles before they notch 20 bouts. I remember, you want to go back to the past, when Fernando Vargas and David Reed from the 1996 class, they won their championships. Reed won his title at his 12th fight. Vargas won it in, I believe, his 16th. And back in those, it was like, holy smokes, this guy, they got really...
And that was unheard of.
And that was unheard of. Nowadays, you got guys, Josh Taylor barely has 20 fights. Teofimo Lopez barely has 20 fights. These dudes don't get to the 30s. Then, like, to your point, that's how it used to be too in the amateur. So things are changing now. And it's unstoppable at this point, I believe. We can reverse it. Or maybe you can improve it a little bit, but this is the direction in which it's going. TV dates as well.
And the direction is and every one of these roads leads to less stability. In anybody who sits there and says, some people say you just talk about the old days like the better. Bullshit. Go back and watch any fights. Look at Tommy Hearn's career. Any one of those guys. Go watch his fights. Go watch his top 10 fights. And look at the quality of fights compared to any welterweight fight today. Crawford, I believe, could go and hang himself. He could hang in any of those divisions. Any of the era. He's that talented. No, hang in that era. Okay. But Spence, Spence, top pound for pound boxer, he would have got his fucking head cleaned. Seriously, by any of those guys.
Jimmy, you don't even have to go. You don't even have to go back to the 80s, to 81. Just go back to 99. Trinidad, De La Hoya.
Exactly.
Corte, Obakar. Even okay, let's go 97, when Whitaker was still there. Yeah, and by that time he was already past his peak, but come on. This if Errol Spence retires now, and that's what it seems like, Jimmy. Because who knows what he's up to or what they got planned for him, if anything at all. What was his best win? What was Errol Spence's fight where you go, wow, look at that Hall of Fame career right there?
Exactly, Mr. BDA. Thank you. Let's look at it real quick. His best win, Sean Porter going fucking split decision against Sean. That's it. Other than that, what is the other ones they rate him by? Danny Garcia? Yeah, that's aged well. That dude hasn't had a legitimate victory in 11 years, and never at welterweight. has never had a legitimate victory at welterweight. So how you hang him as an elite win? It isn't.
No, would you stop? Please stop using the word "hang" when you talk about Afro Anglos, please. It's just it makes me uneasy.
Hey.
I'm just saying, please.
No, I just all right. We'll avoid that. But and then all right, who else? Mickey Garcia, a career featherweight, super featherweight. 80% of his fights were fought at 126. And that's an elite guy, the guy who threw more punches at the ceiling at the end of the rounds than he did at his opponent. The guy that Spence tried to get out of there, and he couldn't. A career 126-pounder who only fought a handful of fights above 130 his entire career. It was a joke. I mean, it was a cash grab is what it was, but didn't matter. It was after that fight, he was lauded right to fucking pound-for-pound status. It was just, again, the hypocrisy of how things are looked at. No, Errol Spence has a weak as fuck resume. Weak. All right, Brooke, this is the best one. Brooke. Okay, people want to say, well, Errol Spence was weight trained. Really? What's about weight trained? Brooke fought Spence just 296 days after getting his face shattered by Triple G. And here's an important thing. And the injuries Brooke received against Triple G were far worse than any injury Spence didn't get in his car accident. He walked away from that car accident virtually unscathed. Like it said in the news reports, outside of minor, and that was the doctor's description, the release they gave, outside of minor face lacerations and overall body soreness, that was it. So unscathed. So the whole thing, that car accident, is a crock of shit. He did no broken bones, no fractured bones, no concussion, nothing. He slid on his face, got a little road rash in his face, and that's it. And like he said, he even said in an interview, I was a little sore, but I thank God it was a miracle. So bullshit. He drank himself into that condition, combination of lifestyle outside the ring and absolute weak competition and inactivity. Those three things: the drinking, soft as puppy shit opponents, resume, and fucking inactivity. And that's what you saw. And he got pieced up by Errol Spence. By Crawford. And mind you, Crawford would have done that to him at any point. It wouldn't have looked as bad if the alcohol abuse, that to his own admission, to credit him, even admitted all the alcohol and everything. He keeps saying everything. Everybody knows that everything is usually, when it comes along with alcohol. You're not usually, I doubt he was doing fentanyl, so he's probably fucking blowing big gaggers or fucking drinking some lean. But everything, he always made a point to say that after the alcohol. So yeah, that's why I sounded like an idiot to some people, because I'd say, geez, I just don't rate Spence like that. I don't know why people think he's got this chance of beating Crawford. I just never saw that coming out, ending that way.
I'll say I don't think his resume is a joke, but it's certainly not. I mean, I can understand calling it a joke in comparison to what his fans were making him out to be.
That's what I mean. Good point.
They were saying that he could move up. They were saying he could move up to 160 and beat Canelo Alvarez. I mean, come on, man. It's
Triple G.
Right. I mean, he couldn't move Sean Porter back, and he's gonna do that to Golovkin and Canelo. I mean, that just goes to show. Again, it goes back to what I started this show. We talk about people losing their shit with rumors about whom Canelo's gonna fight. They're alarmists. They're reactionaries. They don't think things through. As soon as they see a headline, for some reason they assume that's true. And it's the same thing with these fans. They saw one good performance from Errol Spence, or two. Because again, against Kell Brook, okay, yeah, he was compromised, blah, 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 but at least he broke him down. Mikey Garcia, at least he beat him, almost washed him. It was like 10-2, 11-1. But to take that and say, oh, he beats, okay, forget Canelo and Golovkin. I remember people saying that before the Sean Porter fight, saying Errol Spence beats everybody at 147. There's no way he loses. And they were saying that he was going to be man down. Sean Porter, man down. You're going to get run through. And then what happened? Went life and death with a guy who can't punch. And I'm not besmirching Sean Porter. I'm not besmirching him. But what I'm saying is, in the global order of things, I don't see De La Hoya, prime 1997 De La Hoya, struggling that much against Porter. I don't see Trinidad losing to Sean Porter. I don't see... Pernell, I mean, look, Kell Brook, people forget, Kell Brook actually performed better against Porter than Spence did. And even to a certain degree, Terence Crawford. even though Terence Crawford managed to stop him, but he was getting clocked in there by Sean Porter. Kell Brook outboxed him. But they don't, and that was a Kell Brook right before, before he went up to 160 and whatever happened there. But it is, man. The other thing I wanted to say, though...
No, they were saying that right after Bivol. Let's just put it out there. Right after Canelo lost to Bivol, they were saying, fucking, Spence could go up to 168 and beat him. Or 175. They were just saying crazy shit.
Yeah,
like somebody would tweet that out and the thing would get 70 retweets and 150 likes. Oh, absolutely. He fucking destroys Canelo at 160. It's like, oh my fucking God. And then you know what happens? You got to blame a lot of that on our embarrassment of a media. When ESPN or Ring Magazine has him in the top 10, why? For what reason? Even after that one-sided thrashing he received at the hands of, but they still had him in the top 10.
Yeah, well, you know what? We're almost at the two. No, we're at the 2.5 hour mark. Okay, so we gotta speed this along, man. We gotta speed this along because there's a bunch of things that again we've missed since we've been MIA here. Jared Anderson talking about these soft fighters. Apparently, somebody on Reddit, on the boxing Reddit, was clowning, trolling, whatever you want to call Jared Anderson. So Jared Anderson found out the guy's account and started leaving comments in the guy's tweets or Instagram, whatever, saying grown ass N-word playing dress up for free while I get paid to sweet shit. I don't know what that means. That's some ghetto Afro-Anglo tongue. N-word who gets no bitches. I get beat up for fun looking ass boy. Oh, you and your boyfriend so cute, dude. Okay, so that's what the comments he's leaving under the guy's photographs. So Jared Anderson, another one of those dudes. I don't care, but he's going around comment bombing some anonymous guy on the internet. Jimmy, what's up with that?
Yeah, it was. And if they did that too on Reddit, that might be a different one. But he also did it to a kid, actually a friend of the show, Sanch. Only Sanch. I don't really know his full name. He calls in on Ring a lot, but no, a good guy, man. He was like over 300 pounds. By 40 years old, he lost like half that and put himself in good shape. And just to show you how dedicated of a fan he is to the sport, he's the dude who jumped on a plane and flew over to Japan to watch the Fulton fight. You know how much that must have cost that guy? So in a sport as niche as boxing, right? And let's be honest, it's as niche as it gets. You have Jared Anderson bashing that kid, call him, like you said, all kinds of names. He was this and that and how much money in the bank and blah, blah, blah. And it all stemmed from this. He was running his mouth, and what happened was, remember when he came out, and I guess that Top Rank has now took the video down. I don't know if they kind of really thought that out. Remember when he came out in that prison garb, hands handcuffed?
Oh, yeah.
And it was in honor of his brother. It was in honor of his brother. Okay. And then you find out, so like, okay, wow, what his brother, like, put down by the man, got an ounce of weed in his car, he got 2 years in prison. Like, what happened? What
police,
aggressive version was crushed on him, right? Oh, you mean he home invaded an innocent man and murdered him in front of his family? Oh, yeah. Let's give some props to that fucking burden on society. Like, are you serious? And so what that kid Sanch said, how about a little props to the guy your brother murdered in cold blood trying to steal his shit? And that's what set him off, was the reference to his brother, which is true, but just the lack of awareness of, like, why would you, like, if my brother did something like that, or broke into an innocent working man's house and fucking murdered him in the commission of stealing his property, like, I would never stop loving my brother because he's my brother, but I would fucking hate him as a person, and God forbid he would be shunned. Like, we wouldn't talk about him, bring him up in polite society, never mind making a public spectacle of coming out, I'm down, his honor to my brother. Like, it's just so, yeah, I think he's an idiot. I think he's a clown. I think he looked pretty mortal against Prince Charles. And I think he knows that, and I think that's one of the reasons why he says he wants to be done by 25, 26, and was he 23? So I put no weight now behind him, and he's clearly not a good person to attack somebody like that the way he did.
Well, he also said that it should be legal or whatever, permitted to physically assault people that troll you on the internet, which is I mean, you can't take a little and sometimes it's obvious when someone's trying to troll you too. So why would you get upset over that? I mean, to the point. I understand if you want to get upset over it, but to the point where you want to physically assault somebody, you're gonna end up like your brother, man. That's all I'm saying. Now, speaking of how to control people on social media, Jimmy, I wanted to show you this. Well, that's not it. Hold on. This is Tank Davis. Hold on. Tank Davis also went on social media, and apparently, because I don't know if you remember, but the Conor Ben, what's his name? Eddie Hearn offered the Tank Davis team a fight against Conor Ben. Boku money involved in that as well. And apparently Tank Davis rejected it. That's what they're saying. I don't know if it's true. And so Tank Davis came out and started leaking some tweets that he had back and forth with Eddie Hearn. And then he said this on Twitter, apparently. I think he meant to say I, because the U is right real next to the I in the keyboard. I will beat the dog shit out of you. We all know this. I was just trying to be good for the sport and beat ya ass in ya hometown. But the spoon-fed white boy, talking about Eddie Hearn, keep trying to cheat me out of my fucking money, bitch.
That's what he said in a tweet. He must have deleted it, right?
Probably. This is from the 24th of... this is from yesterday, apparently.
Do you have a copy of that?
Yes,
tweet?
It's on the screen. Oh, you want me to send it to you?
Yeah, send it to me if you could. I want to see this stuff. So that's what he said, that white boy. It's just crazy the comfort in which they take with their fucking bigotry. Just how comfortable they are with it. You know what I mean? It's the outrage, like you said, outrage culture. Now just imagine if just any of the fucking times that happens. But yeah, listen, that kid is a fucking clown. I mean, I say it all the time, and I still stand by it. Within 2 years of his retirement, he'll be the face of fucking D Block.
Come on.
You know what I mean?
I mean, look.
He will. Come on. He has no impulse control. He's got the fucking IQ of a parking meter.
I'll say this.
It is, and he's prone to be violent.
I like how they were talking about that in an article about, because again, they supposedly now that he's going to be fighting Frank Martin, and of course, it's going to be pay-per-view, which is going to really show us how the face of boxing, what can he really do when he doesn't have Ryan Garcia opposite him in his corner? Because again, people love to say Tank Davis is the face of boxing. Okay, you saw what happened between Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. It did about a little bit more than 500,000 pay-per-view buys. Didn't come close to hitting 1 million. Tank Davis supposedly is bigger than those two guys combined. He's facing an undefeated Afro-Anglo. My question is, will the Afro-Anglos show up and buy this pay-per-view? So because they're always defending the PBC, saying, y'all love to hate on the PBC shit. Well, let's see if you guys buy this fight. Because again, it's two undefeated Afro-Anglos fighting for the world. But somehow I think I doubt that that's going to happen. And the other thing is this:
I'll be happy with you. 200,000. I mean, I'll be generous. And say 200,000. It'll sell, and that's being generous.
Hopefully
more than likely 125, 150.
Yeah, because what happens nowadays too is it's the same thing with Hollywood. They come out with these remakes of movies, but they put a feminist stand on it or slant on it or whatever, and then the creators say in the previews or in the interviews, they say, this movie is for women or it's for this. It's time to give these people their props. And then when the movie bombs, they blame the demographic that they were against for not going to see the movie, and it's the same thing with boxing.
Racist fans.
Right. Now in boxing,
misogynist fans.
In boxing, it's not just the racist fans, it's piracy too. That's why Tank Davis ain't doing well on pay-per-view, because people are stealing fights. But I'm thinking, Canelo, so a lot of people that could steal his fights and he does well. Same thing with Anthony Joshua.
Exactly.
So, yeah, man. But speaking of that fight.
90 seconds.
Excuse me. Frank Martin versus Tank Davis. Some people were saying they're smelling upset. What are you smelling, Jimmy?
I'm smelling Frank getting knocked out.
Oh.
Yeah, he's going to knock him out. Frank, I mean, once they started pushing that kid along, I saw that exactly where that was going. I mean, depends. Has Davis drunk himself out of conditioning all together? Because he drinks like a fish. I don't think he even cares that much about boxing. It's all about the bag. You know what I mean? He openly says he doesn't care about legacy. But here's the thing, right? Am I wrong by saying for years all we've ever heard coming out of Nostril dumbass Ellaby was he would say, "Okay, why doesn't he fight Lomachenko?" Well, you saw the numbers he puts up. Mind you, here's an important distinction. When they both fought, when he was fighting on Showtime, Davis, and when Lomachenko was fighting on HBO, Loma's numbers crushed Davis. Like 3 times the amount of people viewed his fight. They literally put him into a pay-per-view off of doing horrible numbers on Showtime. So let's just let that sink in. But here's the thing. For years, all we heard was, why would I have him fight Shakur? Why would he fight Haney, Taylor, Lopez? What do they bring to the table? And then turn around for Frank Martin. Really? Because if you want to say what brings to the table, it's a 7-course meal compared to what Frank Martin brings to the table. So it's the fucking lies and it's the bullshit. And they're always looking for soft competition, someone they could beat and keep it in-house. And there's certain callers, okay, Reb Reed would say, because I said the next fight he has was after Garcia, it'll either be Frank Martin, Venezuela, the kid who just recently won, or the fucking gnome there, Isaac Cruz. That's it. That's one of those 3 guys. And of course, they flirted with Lomachenko's name as Conor, Gavin Floyd. That whole Conor Ben thing, when it was all smoke and mirrors, attaching their name to fighters they have no intentions on fighting for the clout, and then fighting another handpicked no-hoper. And believe me, though, I think the Vegas odds will work out that way because that kid Martin, some people say even lost that fight recently, his last outing. So, right. I mean, here's what it is. Decently talented kid, but nowhere near the seasoning yet. The only chance he has is how bad of conditioning, because it's eventually going to catch up to him. Treating his camps like fat camps the first halfway, trying to shear off all the alcohol-induced flub around his midsection, that's going to eventually affect him. There's a reason why he throws historically low numbers of punches in fights. Go look back at the Petraza fight, his hands, so it is what it is with him.
And then
I
on
think
top
he's
of
a
that,
clown, and the fact that he did the white boy thing, fuck him.
That's what upset you, huh? Sounds about white.
Yeah, I do, because it gets.
I'm kidding.
It sounds about white.
I'm kidding. No, yeah, listen. You've heard me say before. You've heard me say before, like that. The only race you can still rail against is white people, and anybody that doesn't see it at this point, I don't know why you got something against white people. Why do white people do to you? It's like the same thing, I guess, any other race. I mean, come on, you gotta give your head a shake, is what I'm saying. But here's the thing, though, when it comes to the fight itself, Tank Davis versus Frank Martin, you bring up a good point about the activity, because Tank Davis hasn't fought since April 2023. So by the time he steps back in the ring, it might be another year layoff. And by the way, I like how in the article announcing this fight or speculating about this fight, they said Tank Davis, who had to sit out the rest of 2023 because of legal troubles. Just legal troubles. That's just that. He didn't run over a woman. He wasn't giving a slap on the wrist, and then he fucked that up by disrespecting the rules. Oh, and then of course he started blaming the judge. Man, that judge is crazy. Yep. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, you decide they gave you a slap on the wrist and you still managed to fuck it up. But Frank Martin too hasn't fought since the summer, which obviously is not April, but it's going to be about the same. It's going to be more than an 8-month layoff. Frank Martin is a good fighter, southpaw, mobile. He's got an experienced corner. But I guess that Armenian dude, whose name I'm not going to try to spell in his last fight, he was getting shook by body shots. And I know Tank Davis, like you said, he's not a pressure fighter. He's a low economical output type of guy in the ring. But it's going to be interesting to see if Tank Davis can chase him down. Because when he was fighting natural featherweight Hector Luis Garcia, he was in the middle of that ring. He wasn't chasing Garcia down. And then he just hit him with a wallop. Garcia got his knees buckled, and he called it quits in the corner. So evidently he wasn't really there to give it his all. Ryan Garcia appeared to want to give it his all early on, but then again he had a rehydration clause in the catch weight, and so that's the other thing that makes me wonder what other surprises are the Tank Davis team going to come up with against Frank Martin? Are they going to try to get him to you can't throw jabs for the first 6 rounds? Maybe you can't throw the left. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, it's I understand why some people might be going with opposite for Frank Martin, because he's a boxer, he's mobile, he's going to force Tank Davis to come to him. But what a coincidence that this is the guy that they choose to fight right after he looks bad against Hortovinian or whatever that Armenian guy's name was. I mean, it's.
I know.
It doesn't entice me, especially for a pay-per-view fee. You know what I mean? That's where the real problem
fact
lies.
it's a pay-per-view, it's another insult. Just an absolute insult that it's a pay-per-view. Like, that's just what it is. Like, all his fights going forward will always, like, he's now, like, no fighter in history has ever been an exclusive pay-per-view fighter. Just to wrap your head around that. And who became the sport's first exclusive pay-per-view fighter when he wasn't even a world champion, I think, at the time, or had maybe a junior belt, but Gervonta Davis. That's your first? Like, what did he do? Nothing. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Again, I'm really interested to see how many pay-per-view buys this does, and I want to see all these people that say that he's the face of boxing. I want them to pay for it. I want them to step up and show people that he's the face of boxing, because, hey, boxing would do well to have another mainstream star, but somehow I'm starting to doubt whether that's going to materialize. Now, listen, before we go, it's been a long show. I thought it was going to be quicker. We got to end with this. Shakur Stevenson, another guy that doesn't care what people say, but yet he can't stop talking about how he doesn't care and about those comments. So here he was on some show. I think it's that Barack Obama show or whatever it's called on DAZN, with that Arabic guy and the Afro-Anglo, or not Afro-Anglo, but he's a British Anglo, whatever you call him, Afro, I guess. This is Shakur Stevenson saying he doesn't care, and he's explaining to you why he looked bad against De Los Santos in his last fight. Now I'm trying to find the. There we go.
I done told them, but I'm fucked up. But look, we're gonna win. There's no doubt in my mind. We coming out that motherfucker with a L. My young boys was in the bathroom. Zay, my little cousin, Manny. They in the bathroom chilling. I walk up to them, I'm like, look, and they can confirm it.
Okay.
I walk up to them, I'm like, look, I'm gonna show y'all something tonight. I'm gonna show y'all how to get a win on an off night. And that's exactly what I said. I
so
you ain't get into specific, but you just knew you were.
I knew for a fact. I done told people around me. I'm fucked up.
So he keeps saying he's fucked up, but I don't think, has he specified exactly what was effed up?
He didn't feel well. That's what he said. He said earlier he didn't feel well. I guess sick, had a boo-boo tummy. I don't know. But yeah, he didn't feel well. And so, but that's the same excuse he gave on the time that he was getting ribbed back on ESPN when Tim Bradley was like, you can't do this. You can't fight like this. But just goes to show you, here's a kid who's lucky Top Rank even offered him a fight extension. Because I would have been like, tell you what, champ, why don't you go fucking check the free agent waters? And I think that's what happened. I think that was what was behind I'm retiring. Because I think that he'd reached out to two other things, PBC, and found out they ain't got fucking a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out. And DAZN was like, yeah, we're good. We're not paying you. What did Top Rank offer you? 5-fight deal for $15 million. That's $3 million guaranteed per fight. Fuck out of here. You're not getting that kind of guarantee from us. I quit. Like, you're a donkey. What an absolute donkey. You put on a performance that horrendous and you want to excuse it away? Just say what it is. I was afraid of getting clipped. I was scared. So I fought scared. But I will not do that any further. I will find my fucking balls and I will step up there and I'll throw my hands. And if I get clipped, I get clipped. And when I say scared, I'm not scared of getting hit. He's scared of losing. Like just getting put on his ass or whatever. It's a shame. It's a shame because he has unbelievable talent. I know a lot of people on this who listen to the show hate to hear that, but he does. He's an extremely accurate puncher, blistering jab, but he just doesn't have the fucking spirit and the heart of a fighter. And you hear us mention many fighters all the time on this show who epitomize that, like Julio Cesar Chavez, and a ton of fighters.
Yeah,
he just
man.
doesn't have that makeup.
You know, it's interesting because like
Marvin Hagler.
I'm curious to hear what his excuse was against Nakatila. His excuse was, I got hurt. I got punched. I didn't really like it, but I'll look better the next time. Well, he hasn't really looked. I mean, people keep bringing up that Valdez fight. I saw somebody on Twitter go, well, y'all forget he fought Valdez, who was the next big. And I'm thinking, when was? I mean, again, these people just hear what's being told on TV and they believe it. Valdez had already looked bad. First of all, I think he lost the Conceição fight. And he'd gone to war against Mariaga and Jenny Cervania. That's hardly the guy that's the king of the division. So, people like to overrate that. And then now look at what Navarrete did to Valdez. And that was my whole point is Valdez Navarrete didn't receive half the praise Shakur Stevenson did. But now I think the market is recalibrating itself. And they're starting to realize that some of these guys, you're not going to turn them into the next Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather was an anomaly. A guy who could box, could make it boring for most of the time. But he captured the public's imagination at the right time. And partially because, people forget, one of the reasons why people were intrigued by this whole Mayweather thing was because it was Pacquiao. He had another A-list opponent that people wanted him to see him fighting. So there was a build-up to that. Right now, a guy like Shakur Stevenson, Davis doesn't want to fight him. And Davis is they're not even near the level of a Pacquiao Mayweather. So let's dispense with that talk. So Shakur Stevenson, really, what he needs to do is stop saying, I don't care, stay silent, and then show up and give us a performance that's going to make people forget about what happened against Nakatila and De Los Santos. But he can't. It's the new era. These people, it's not just women, man. Stop. It's men. They're addicted to the phone and the tweeting and the outrage and the going back and forth.
Yep. 100% agree. And I'll tell you her name right now, he will avoid, and this kid only has 10 fights, but I'll tell you when he gets up there, because he'll grow about the same size. And the reason why I like Abdullah Mason so much, that kid is willing to take punches. A lot of people say, he's willing to take too many punches. No, he wants to mix it up. That's what I like about him. And what I also like about him is you're not going to see him in the street punching women or being an idiot. He's a fucking, like Steve Kim said when he met him, down to earth. When he talks to his father, yes, sir, just a polite kid, well-spoken, just a nice kid. Like you really hope he does well because he's just such a nice kid. So hopefully the sport doesn't get to him and he doesn't become a jerk over it, like what happens to a lot of people. But I believe there's a kid right there you're not going to see, and that's another reason why I think Stevenson wants to get away from Top Rank, because I think there's kids in there like Abdullah Mason that he wants nothing to do with.
Whoa.
I believe that wholeheartedly. In 2 years from now, I'm telling you, that kid will fucking take his head off.
Yeah, I hate to say that too.
Just as quick and a great fucking show. What's that, PD?
I hate to go there to these guys scared of that dude. But with Shakur Stevenson, I mean, the way he fights and the way he acts in the ring, outside the ring afterwards, it's indicative of a guy who he might not want certain types of fights. And here's the other thing about Shakur Stevenson. Okay, look, I understand guys go in there hurt, and it will affect your performance. And some people say, that's excuses. Hey, fellas, it is what it is. If you got a broken hand or a bum shoulder or whatever, it's not the best version of the fighter out there. And you can call it whatever you want, but it doesn't change the fact that the fighter was injured. But here with Shakur Stevenson, it's so ambiguous what he's saying. I didn't feel good. Okay, well, what happened? Break it down, because he's talking more about the fans and their reaction instead of actually explaining what was wrong with him. Maybe if he explained it, he would have a little more understanding or sympathy from the fans. Number two, if you're gonna go into a fight, maybe dispense or hold back all the trash talking, because he was doing his share of trash talking of De Los Santos. I'ma fuck you up, blah blah blah. Then he had his boys. I don't know if you remember. I played the video in the build up to the fight. De Los Santos shows up, small entourage, small crew. And they're walking outside the arena, and this Shakur Stevenson, his lackeys go up to him. My boy gonna fuck, we gonna fuck you up. Like they're gonna fight or something. We gonna fuck you up. That's right. Wait for tomorrow. We gonna fuck you up. And what happened? The guy was leaping around like a rabbit. And that's why I was so not happy. But I said there's hope for the boxing world, because very few people actually defended him. Even the boxing hipsters who condone the clinching and the running and shaking their asses and all that, they were against that. They said this was horrendous. So there's hope yet still out there with the boxing world. And I guess that's a good way to...
And I hate when they compare him to like guys. There was guys hit, don't get hit. Yeah, okay, James Toney. It was hard to lay gloves on, sweeping, but they stayed in the pocket and they hit you. That wasn't the case with what he was doing. He was literally jumping back. I mean, it was crazy how afraid he was of getting hit. Mm-hmm. And I say, and I know fear. It's not the same type of fear of being like knees knocking. I don't want to get punched. No, it's not like that. It's just the fear of losing. Maybe I don't know what it is, losing that or just getting caught clean. And that always tells me something happened in training. Because usually when someone's that afraid to get clipped, that means they've taken probably a big shot and gone down in camp. Like maybe they know in the back of the head they can't take a big punch, and that's why another thing. Like again, I don't want to sound like a fanboy, but that kid Mason, like all you hear about in camp, like as far as always on him. All right, doesn't everything have to be everything doesn't have to be a war, because like he'll just go right to the middle of the ring and want to exchange, go toe to toe with people, willing to take one to give one. And I mean, I like that about a fighter. That's a kid who's like willing to put his heart into it. So it's still hope. I think Keyshawn looked pretty good. That kid that was on the 3 knockdown rules, is it Shay or
Shushu?
The middle Shushu, yeah, exactly. Steve said another kid, super nice kid, real polite, real down to earth, loves the game, loves the sport, likes to bang. So there's still hope. Let's just hope it goes forward. But yeah, I've lost a lot of respect for Shakur for just the way he handled himself after that fight, attacking people and like you said, it's so ambiguous. It can mean so many things. You didn't feel well. What? Mentally, physically? Did you catch your girlfriend going down on your cousin the night before? Like, what do you mean you didn't feel good? What the fuck was going on?
No, I mean, I'm telling you, man. That's what I'm saying. Trash talking is like an investment. If you perform and live up to the trash talking, it's a great investment. But if you don't, that's a bad investment that blows up in your face. I mean, just look at Vargas. What was it? Josue Vargas, who was talking so much smack to Cepeda, and then Cepeda knocks him out in one round, and then Vargas turned him gay.
Cepeda.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He turned him gay. Yeah, turned him into
I remember that.
Turned him into a rope swallower. So I mean, that's the danger of trash talking. Could turn you. It could make you garden uphill. Is all I'm saying. So
has that dude retired? Isn't that kid even retired now? The kid who got knocked out in the first round, is he even still fighting?
I don't know, but I mean, he's got another career path, that's for sure, and that's what it is, man. I mean, hey, good for him. When the light of the true path of the Crimson Cross is shining on you, though, it cleanses you. So maybe he should get on board that. But again, I don't preach, I don't push anything on people. It's people find their ways, or their way.
Run to the light, Shakur. Run to the light.
That's right. Oh, come on, wait a minute. That's an implication I don't like right there. All right, listen, fellas, thank you. That's about it. We're done here. Shout out to Jimmy. Thank you for being on, man. Shout out. Oh, by the way, excuse me. Shout out to Never Sober.
You're welcome, my friend. Enjoy it every time.
Thank you. Shout out to I Am Your Leader for reestablishing his membership program. Shout out to him. He says boxing will be at the Paris Olympics and the USA has a team. All right, there you go. So that corroborates what somebody else had said, that it's 2028. 2028. That's when they're
ending it.
Yeah.
What a shame.
I mean, come on. I tell you the truth. I watch the World Championships and I try to keep track of the amateurs, but the Olympics, it's most of the time I didn't even know where to watch these events. They wouldn't post them on YouTube. They wouldn't put. I mean, so I'm not that heartbroken over it. But anyway. They
used to schedule them like on Saturday at 3:00 in the afternoon purposely, because they knew that's the one that everybody was going to tune in for. Yeah, like now they're 2:00 in the morning, and you're like, what the fuck? It's a shame.
Yeah, it is. I mean, listen, boxing's changing, man, and that's why we got to keep pointing things out so that they don't get too bad. With these 36-hour weigh-ins, more titles being considered prestigious, people blowing weight division, people breaking the rules. Oh, it's the sweet science, clinching and running and avoiding contact and avoiding initiating contact. Yeah, come on, let's get right with the Lord. All right, folks. Otherwise, the devil's always looking over your shoulder, and you look back at him and you give him a hand, he'll take it. All right. Jimmy, thank you for being on. Always appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the like on our way out or on your way out. Want to give a big shout out to everybody that donated the super chat, everybody that called in, and we'll catch you on the next one. Oh, and stick around. Okay, yeah, I might be doing John Gonzalez was talking about we're going to do a second Renaissance, all right, fellas? So we might do that one. Stay tuned for that. Check out the Twitter for the alert or whatever, and we'll. Jeez, Luis, I'm losing my train of thought. Maybe no second Renaissance today. All right, shout out to you fellas. Thank you for joining us. Catch you in the next one. We'll leave it at that.
Sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.